Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the L1 show. Today, if you're in the United States, is Election Day. It's November 8th. And in honor of that, we're doing a government, was it security?
Get out there and vote. Unless you don't understand what's going on in the world, then don't vote. They always say everybody should vote. Not true.
You ever, I find it's a lot easier to vote now because you can like look up the candidate on your phone and like read their platform before you start.
I bet they hate that.
Yeah.
Also, we debated on whether or not to do this without Wendell because he's traveling and he wasn't sure when he was going to be back. He's like, yeah, okay, but make sure you tell everybody I'm not dead, which is like, I don't think we'd be doing this if he was dead.
No, maybe not. Yeah.
I don't know if we really needed to tell us that. But just in case any of you are worried, he's not dead.
He's not dead. He's traveling.
He's actually, his health seems to be improving. So
yeah.
That's hopeful.
Also, we got a box from Techie Satva, which some of you may remember either from the forums or they won the Minecraft competition. They've been finalists multiple times. They sent us a box of nuts.
Now he put, you know, this might have been a brilliant move on Techie Satva's part to get some free advertising, but he put the Wolfie's nut logo.
Yeah, it's on the box too.
But it's also on the paper. So I'm thinking that he probably wouldn't have gone to that trouble unless he's associated with Wolfie's nuts somehow.
Crunchy bacon jam.
That is a weird
flavor
of nut.
Crunchy beer nuggets.
That doesn't sound all that delicious.
Trying not to get it in the mic, but crunchy mixed nuts. Crunchy cashews and crunchy original peanuts.
Aren't all nuts crunchy?
Yes, they're flavor infused crunchy. I don't know what crunchy means though.
I mean, nuts inherently are crunchy.
Ingredients: peanuts, cashews, almonds, blah, blah, blah. Water, wheat flour, pure cane sugar, salt, soy sauce.
Salty and
preservative,
sweet.
Yeah.
So it's, if Techie Satva is in fact associated with Wolfie's nuts, that means we have Readmore Dimension who farms the nuts, and now we got Techie Satva who flavors and packages the nuts.
So this is the bacon jam is cane sugar, salt, soy sauce, sugar, roasted red peppers, jalapeno peppers, water bacon.
Water bacon?
Water type. Yeah. I don't know. It's water bacon. Cured with water, salt, sugar, some sort of preservative.
So it actually has bacon in it.
Dextrose flavoring honey. Dehydrated pork broth.
Oh, exciting.
I wonder how you do that.
So thank you, Techie Satva.
Yeah.
We'll check out those nuts. And I can't have very many of them because of the stones. Wendell, we're not sure what his dietary restrictions are right now. So, Chrissy, you might be...
Maybe we'll save a batch for the nonsense section when it's closer to the time for you to eat, and you can try some too.
I don't think we should ever eat in the microphone.
Yeah, people don't like that. So our editor, one of our editors, announced that we had gotten these on the Twitter account, and someone was like, "Please don't eat them into the microphone."
I was watching, somebody shared an AOC tweet where she was, just like doing her crap with Elon Musk. And she was picking apart a chicken tender and eating while she talked.
In the mic?
Oh, I was so angry at that. But anyway, I'm not angry at Techie Satva. Thank you, Techie Satva. Of course, we know Techie Satva from the Twitch stream and he's been heavily involved.
Yeah, he's on the Minecraft server every year.
We love him. And not just because of his nuts.
Also the Mushroom House.
Oh, he was the Mushroom House? Wow, he really pandered to you in a lot of ways.
He really did, yeah.
He knows how to pull our strings, Techie Satva. He might be... CIA or Mossad or something. Well, let's talk about some government news. And this is an interesting one right before the election. I feel like it might have a little motivation there because there's definitely, some partisan, one side of the aisle wants this more than the other. But everybody, I think, is a little suspicious of old TikTok.
FCC commissioner says government should ban TikTok. So this is where my mind went. I was like, oh, does he have some sort of connection to like Facebook or some other social media company? And the answer is no. He was a lawyer
that we know of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a Republican, and he's been very critical of all social media, particularly anything to do with China, obviously. And he's saying that from what we've learned about TikTok, why should we ever have it? Now, the other social media companies do absolutely love this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I assumed. I was like, oh, maybe he worked for one of them, but no, he worked in law prior to getting into government and, under Ajit Pai.
Their stocks did increase immediately as he announced that. Now he does not have the authority to do anything himself, But the last time he suggested that the government do something was Huawei, and they did.
Maybe there's part of me that thinks that would probably be a net good, but I feel like people would be very, very angry if they couldn't use TikTok.
The people who don't care about this kind of thing and are just enjoying their addiction
Yeah.
of TikTok they would be very upset about that.
I have to admit, I would be upset for multiple reasons if they got rid of YouTube, if like something like that came down to that.
Oh my God, that's all my entertainment.
Yeah.
Plus, it's this. So that'd be upsetting.
Income and entertainment.
But as far as we know, YouTube doesn't leak everything to the Chinese government.
Maybe unintentionally, but yeah.
Or intentionally. We just don't know about it yet. Who knows? But we'll see. See what happens with TikTok. Now, this one is a contentious story because I read a couple of opposite viewpoints here where they're like, no, we already knew about all of this. This is nothing new.
There's another one later in a different section that refers to this article.
Which I think I remember to cut, but
okay.
maybe not. If we do twice, it's fine. Anyway, yeah, some people are saying this is real. Some people saying that, well, they didn't really say it was fake. They just said it's like no big deal. It seems like there was a lot of spin on both sides of this.
Yeah. Truth cops leaked documents outline DHS's plans to police disinformation. What is disinformation?
They decide.
Yeah.
Now,
That's the TLDRs. Yeah. They decide what it is.
This is a really long one, and it boils down to ultimately our homeland security, which ballooned into a massive, massive dragnet under, all the war on terror stuff in the turn of the century and beyond.
I lived through that. Yeah.
I did too. Yeah. Amazing. They're no longer fighting terror. War on terror is kind of over for good or for ill. And now they've pivoted into spying on American citizens. And a big way that they're doing that is, of course, social media and trying to not just monitor social media. I mean, that's...
Yeah, absolutely happening on every platform.
We know that all social media is monitored. That's not at debate here. But what is whether or not they have the ability to stifle speech and control the narrative on social media. Now, we know that Facebook gave them a portal because Zuckerberg admitted that to Joe Rogan. And we've also seen some proof in some other places. We're probably going to find out what was going on in Twitter pretty soon.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff we did already know. Maybe this is not like a smoking gun. However, even if it's not new information, it's good information to have, I think.
Yeah. I don't know that anyone is going to see this and care, except for,
I care.
Well, yeah, we care, but like, we don't have any power. So
also mostly don't use their stuff because of that reason and a number of other reasons. I mean, I do have Twitter, but I would never tweet anything that would put me, like would label me as something.
Oh, you did though.
What did I tweet?
You said that McConnell should go to Taiwan next.
I said McConnell and Pelosi should both die.
Yeah, so that won't label you as anything though.
Well, anti-government, I'm fine with.
Okay.
I'll wear that one, but I don't want to get into the partisan stuff. That's
That's fair.
If we want to talk
That's
about
fair.
tearing down the government, I'll talk about that. But if you want to talk about like this side is the savior, no, that's not true. Neither of them are the savior. They must both be destroyed.
Flagged.
Demonetized. You can go ahead and curse freely for the rest of the episode.
Oh, fantastic.
And the White House has, they've decided that ransomware is a big problem. It took them a couple of years, but they've decided. And actually, they did this once before, but because of the thing in the last 2 years, they weren't able to do it in person. This time, all these beautiful countries will come together and hold hands and talk about ransomware.
Oh, White House invites dozens of nations for ransomware summit. What an exciting conference to go to if you're someone from a different country.
All the big alphabet agencies will be there. And then this giant list of countries right here. We don't need to itemize those. But some interesting names in there. Nigeria. It's good to see Nigeria at the table.
Korea, Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom.
Sure, they'll solve that problem.
They're just going to eat on taxpayer dollars, aren't they?
It's going to be really expensive.
Yeah,
food, too.
steaks.
Probably alcohol. Hotel rooms.
Not for the Saudis, though. They wouldn't drink.
Yeah, they might when they're out of the country. Nobody's looking. Well, right to repair, that's a big battleground right now in the government. And the federal government doesn't look like they're going to do a whole lot. They did some sort of lip service for it. there a while back, but it seems like it's going to be a state by state thing, kind of like net neutrality boiled down to. And New York loves to be first.
New York could become first state with a right to repair law for electronic devices. So I could have sworn it was like Maine or New Hampshire or Vermont had already codified this into law a few months ago.
I don't think
But maybe it wasn't electronic devices.
it was. Yeah, I think theirs were more generic.
Okay.
And these are, specifically all of our gadgets. Now, they did say at the end, obviously, when this started to get some heat behind it, you know who showed up?
Yeah.
All the big companies. And they
We
started
can't do that.
lobbying hard. So now it's going to the governor for signature or veto. But the person who brought the bill has described it as a David versus Goliath battle.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
if-
Kind of an ominous ending to the article as well.
Yeah, so it probably is going to get that's Kathy Hochul will have to make that decision. So if it doesn't happen, we know exactly who to blame: Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Kathy Hochul. Microsoft. I'm leaving people out, but I don't mean to. And Chegg, a terrible name, don't you think?
Yeah.
I don't like that name. I should think about renaming. But they were a remote learning, homework help type of deal companies. They're going to help your kids out if they're dumb. And they captured a lot of data and they didn't really take care of it.
Multiple data breaches suggest edtech company Chegg didn't do its homework, alleges FTC. This is from the Federal Trade Commission website, and there's some editor who was really thrilled to write that headline.
So, yes, the FTC is self-referencing here, but they do point out a pretty damning case. Most of this was S3 storage through phishing, but they recorded an astonishing amount of stuff about their students, including religious affiliations and race and stuff like that, which I didn't think was even allowed, right?
I don't see why they would need that if it's just a tutoring program.
Direct deposit payroll information in one of the attacks. And they just kept getting phished over and over. And the same thing kept happening. So the FTC is now saying, listen, you're clearly not taking this seriously. Your S3 bucket didn't have two-factor after the first hack.
Ooh.
Come on, bro. So I'm sure they'll bankrupt and rename under a
Yeah,
name.
and then they'll have the same thing happen, and the FTC will say, stop that. And they'll keep doing it.
Now, we have crappy internet in the rural areas. We live in the rural areas. Krista has just moved to a rural area, and she can't get the sweet, sweet fiber that Wendell and I have.
But I have pretty decent internet for where I am. But it ends literally right past our house. But
You were lucky to get that.
yeah.
And it seems like whenever a lot of money is handed out for broadband stuff, they always go to higher density populations, right?
Right.
Because it looks better if you help a higher number of people. But
Our number
thankfully,
of voters.
well, yeah, for sure. Thankfully, we have the farm people, the agriculture department. That's right. The agriculture department is getting into giving away internet.
Rural areas to get $759 million in grants for high-speed internet.
So the agriculture department is going to put this money in places that are mostly agrarian. They want the farmers and the ranchers to be able to get high-speed internet, even if they have a low population density.
It would be nice. I do wonder if that will actually affect us that much because they probably just won't bother running it into the hollers. We'll see.
I mean, AT&T is pulling the copper out. So I don't know. It's only a certain, only in 24 states and only 49 ISPs. So it's not a huge outreach, but it's something, right?
Yeah, it is better than nothing. Rural America deserves this. It does in 2022, considering how vital the internet is to doing anything anymore.
And how more and more vital it seems that farming is going to become
Yeah.
as things
You need to
darken.
entice people to move out to the country.
Oh, you know what? I think I missorted because there's another story
Is there? Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
about, we'll get to it.
We'll get to
just keep that story in your mind. But first, let's talk about New Hampshire. Now, of course, today is election day for you. And something tells me, now you might call me crazy, Krista, but something tells me that this election the results might be contested.
I feel like that's going to be true for every election ever.
It's from now till the end of time.
Yeah.
Was it Brazil?
Yeah.
They just had the same thing happen.
Yeah.
And, it got a little crazier than ours. The last election, I mean. So New Hampshire is saying that one of the big conspiracy theories, now the Rickard.media does label it a conspiracy theory. I don't know how conspiracy theory it is. I think the DEFCON people have proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt. But they're not looking at that. They're just looking at the mainstream articles. And they're saying that these conspiracy theories about the voting machines must be put to a stop. And there's one good way to do that.
New Hampshire set to pilot voting machines that use software everyone can see.
So,
okay.
Open source software. These things are going to run open source. You can download it. You can look at it. And what'll happen is you'll take your vote on paper, you feed it in the machine will count the vote, and then you can somehow confirm the vote against your choices. On the pilot program, they're not actually going to use the machine to count the votes. They're going to count the paper later and then compare the two to make sure that they match. It's a very small number.
Yeah.
But
let's hope it works.
They point out in this article there are 3 companies, or maybe 4, that run all the voting machines. They're all black box. No one has ever been allowed to look at the inside of their machines, even through all the lawsuits after the last election.
Wow.
Which seems wrong.
Yeah, you'd think there probably is some oversight somewhere, I would hope.
I mean, we've been having this argument since the hanging Chad, which was...
Oh, yeah.
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
It was early 2000s, because that election happened. There was all the controversy about the hanging Chad, and then 9/11 happened. And I remember everyone being like, how would Al Gore have handled this if it had been the other way? Like,
he would have wet his pants and curled into the fetal position. But
to be fair, I think anyone would have. I would have, certainly, if I was the
not
president.
George Bush. He read to children.
I love the Photoshop of that where the book's upside down.
And we have been really limiting China's access to chips. It seems like it is having a bit of an effect. They're not loving it. And, we've been limiting Russia's chips. We've been buying China's chips, which we found out are garbage. So they want the chips. We don't want them to have them. And we don't even want them to have them from other people.
U.S. pushes Japan and other allies to join China chip curbs. China chip curbs. It's a satisfying sentence.
Maybe we should work that in the title somehow. So yeah, they're saying to Japan, hey, don't sell China any more chips. And Japan's like, wow, we're not sure if that benefits us or not.
Well, Japan might be like, well, there's been enough missiles going over here that maybe we should just do it.
You think they'll stop the missiles?
No, but they might want to stay on our good side right now, too.
Now, we've been following the Ring surveillance network story, and it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
What we know now is that the police can access these things, and I think it's opted in by default. Also, the police are resellers of this, and they get benefits when they can sell rings. They're basically an affiliate team for the Ring Club. Now we see more and more actual police agencies joining up so that they have immediate access to all of this.
The NYPD has joined Amazon's Ring's neighbor surveillance network. That is the most dystopian. Ugh. Why would anyone want a Ring at this point after headline after headline like this?
I think NYPD is important here because in New York, maybe you would want one because crime is just rampant in New York right now. It is a disaster.
Well, do you take your Ring to the police who aren't going to do anything about it?
No, that's a good question. I mean,
So it's like, why bother?
if you're not going to prosecute,
Yeah.
maybe for insurance claims. But yeah, they're going to be able to go in there and look at your Ring videos and investigate crimes and so forth. If you've got a Ring on your door, you are part of the problem. And I know some of you do. Now we have, it's interesting because now that the whole Twitter thing is happening, that we're seeing more and more people allowed back into the conversation.
Right.
The bans are being taken down, but the Twitter bans themselves, we're going to have to wait a little longer. And the scary thing about that is it wasn't just the software giants who were banning people. They were trying to bake this into law. Now, it's not necessarily in law, but it shows you that the police have so much power in terms of what they can arrest you for and what they can charge you for. It might as well be.
The Babylon Bee joins the Onion in decrying an Ohio law that makes parody a felony. So this particular case, this guy he was running a fake Facebook page that was clearly a parody of the local police department. And they didn't like that. And they investigated his entire home, raided everything, et cetera, et cetera.
They liked it very, very little. Now, weren't able to find anything in his home. They didn't find anything incriminating. So what they went with was this law that says that if you are somehow disrupting police work, they'll use this one a lot too if you're filming them while they're doing something. And they said because he put the official phone number on the parody site, that people were calling the police department. I don't know how many people called. And that was disrupting police work. So,
I'm surprised they didn't go with impersonating a police officer.
Yeah.
Because you could maybe make an argument for that.
They might have baked a little bit of that into it because that was another complaint they had is he did not make it obvious enough
That it was parody.
that it was a parody. So they got him. I think they arrested him, and the prosecutor decided not to prosecute her. He didn't get convicted of it, and so he's now suing them. But of course, qualified immunity. So now the big players of parody are trying to get together and be like, hey, we could easily fall victim to this. They pointed out many stories that they had posted in the past that would have fallen under this same violation. So
maybe are we going to reach a world where like on an about page for anything, there's going to have to be a disclaimer that's like, this is parody.
Well, people on Twitter constantly get caught by both of those sides.
Yeah.
Even now, after all this time.
Yeah. The Onion, it surprises me that anyone doesn't know what the Onion is. It's been around for years.
I pull a lot of the nonsense stories from the Not the Onion subreddit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been caught by that before, but usually it's just like, oops, my bad. I should have looked at that source clear, but...
Everything I see on Twitter, if I immediately have a knee-jerk reaction to it, I have to stop and be like, wait, no.
Is this just bait? Am I being baited right now?
I have to make sure that this is real, and it's harder and harder.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible at this point. Now, this is the one I was referencing earlier because as they're giving away all that insane money, one of the rules that to get that money is that you have to put forth a plan. You have to have a director. You have to come up with like a 10-year plan. You got to really, this is government work. You got to do a lot of documentation.
A lot of RFP.
So, of course, most states weren't ready for that.
New hot job, state high-speed internet network director. I like this picture they picked. This is a good little stock photo. It's a composer.
That's Ada Amar from Axios.
It's nice.
In-house. Nice work, Ada. So, yeah, because you have to go through all that and the people in charge don't know how to do that, they immediately are scrambling to hire somebody who does so they can get that sweet, sweet government money.
I hope that all the money doesn't go to paying that new director position in each state, but...
No, it won't. They won't pay them that much. Unless they just literally can't find anybody.
Yeah.
They'll hire a lot of people who don't know what they're doing.
Well, that's any job.
Especially, it's big in the tech world.
Yeah.
Well, we got a new law about job postings online. And the big companies, oh boy, are they pissed about this.
Pay transparency shakeup could mean salary pushback. This is so when people make a listing for a job online, there has to be a salary range included, which I think is a positive update. Because why would you waste your why would anyone waste their time?
Well, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want to be able to sift through a big list of people wasting their time and pick the best. But
then they do the interview. You go through the whole interview process. They're like, oh, you're a great fit. Here's what we start you at. And the person's like, well, I can't do that because it's too low.
But they're fine with that. That's
such a waste of time.
It's your time, yeah.
It's a waste of their time too. That's another week or two where that position's not being filled.
But if they could save 10 grand a year,
yeah,
it's totally worth it. So, yeah, there's what this means is if I already have that job and I see a posting for another person doing the same job at the same company, I'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You're not paying me that. So already some companies have started putting wide range. They'll put a salary up there. It's like 30 grand to 120 grand.
That's such a huge,
Yeah.
One of those is almost the poverty level. And then the other one's very comfortable.
So, yeah,
I think California already did this and it helped a little bit. But again, yeah, you mentioned the wide range started coming up.
There's a lot of loopholes. There always is. And
it's a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything bad that could come from that.
Yeah.
Hong Kong, they have decided to open up a bit more and give a little more freedom.
Hong Kong to explore legalizing retail crypto trades in reversal of previous proposal. I guess they want to remain a big trade hub, is what this article was saying.
Not the best timing.
Yeah.
I feel like the crypto craze has really, it's smoldering a bit in the financial collapse. But maybe it could rebound. And if all of the Hong Kong people invest in it now and it comes back up, it could be huge for them. I don't have the confidence.
No.
China is also getting an upgrade to their submarines, which could be a bad news for the rest of the world in terms of World War III.
China, lithium batteries may soon power world's largest fleet of submarines. I thought you maybe included this just because you thought it was a battery tech story where it was...
No, I think they're really going to do this. I mean, the lithium batteries have been proven enough that, you know, we're sure that those do what they're supposed to do. However, they also burst into flame from time to time. And on a submarine...
That's not a big deal.
I mean, a lithium fire on a submarine is going to be a big problem.
It's not like you have limited oxygen in that environment. It'll be fine.
You know, I would say a 10-minute lithium fire on a submarine would be a catastrophic event. You think they'll have a lot of sand to... I guess you could flood it with seawater, but then how are you going to get back up? What are the emergency backup on a submarine? Some of you probably know that. Maybe
I don't know a lot about submarines.
Well, these are Chinese submarines as well, so probably not quite the same.
We did that story a long time ago, and by a long time you mean like 6 months ago, where it was that guy. It was a World of Tanks forum, and people were like, "This Chinese tank isn't right," and the guy was like, "No, it is," and he like uploaded.
It happened twice. There was a German guy too. You got to win online arguments.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I have access to these classified documents. Let me show you.
Also, it says conventional submarines, which I guess are non-nuclear.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about submarines, really.
I know they go underwater.
Me too. There was a picture in that article that was like artist rendering. I was like, we can't find a real picture of a submarine, but I guess
it's
not.
a top secret.
Yeah.
And India, of course, they've got that horrific biometric database. And
that gets hacked all the time.
Yeah, it's terrible. And there's some of the behind the scenes stuff there is really disturbing in terms of the rest of the world. You should look at the son-in-law of the man who created Aadhaar or whatever it's called. Very surprising where he works. Anyway, they're going to go one step further.
India's central bank to start pilot of digital rupee on November 1st.
I don't like it. I think this is a bad idea. The Indian people also do not seem to be adopting it or wanting it. If you remember, they tried a couple of other things here, and the Indian people were just like, yeah, I don't really care about that.
I feel like a lot of governments have been trying to do this, and nobody's interested in it.
Yeah. Also, India hates cryptocurrency. They will not allow cryptocurrencies, presumably because they knew this was coming all along.
They wanted to make their own, yeah.
And we've learned that, we saw the big conflict with India in terms of social media. What's the name of that? The Wire. They have The Wire, who at first they said that there was political control of social media. Then they retracted it. It was a big thing. It seems like they are just going to nip that at the bud.
India sets up panel with veto power over social media content moderation. I know this is not the point of the article, but I was looking at this image and I was immediately struck by how beautiful and colorful this garden was. And I was like, the US gardens, we would never. Look at all those beautiful colors. Bright flowers.
We got the White House Rose Garden. That's nice.
Yeah, but it's all roses. It's a monoculture. Look at all those different plants. And not the point of the article at all.
Maybe you should try and that should be your thing. You want to make
the White House pollinator garden.
Yeah.
For the bees.
How great would it be if the entire White House grounds was just filled with bees?
Oh, I love that. You have a foreign ambassador over and you're like, well, let's go step out to the garden. It's like, oh, we can't right now. It's bee season.
They're constantly doing press conferences and swatting at them. But it's illegal. It's illegal to hurt a White House bee.
Yeah.
Man, how great would it be because you know how every first lady has her thing?
Yeah.
That could be your thing as the first lady.
But yeah, the pollinator. I could be the president and I just turn all of DC into a pollinator garden.
Well, the president doesn't do that.
The president could.
busy with other stuff. they got to be the first lady. That,
Let's ignore World War III and save the bees.
I mean, might as well.
That's a change in the policy.
Anyway, they are saying that when this law goes into effect, we're not going to have this argument anymore because we just shut down whatever we want. And you're going to have to deal with that. And the EU is, they went through a checklist of things Apple hates and said, we want all of these.
Oh, yeah. I can't hardly read this. It's too far away.
New EU law can force Apple to allow other app stores. They don't like that. Sideloading. Oh my God. Security risk. And iMessage interoperability. Oh my God. Will that drive them crazy?
How will we get people to buy an iPhone if they don't have the different color bubble?
And how will we get them to buy overpriced apps if they could get free alternatives somewhere else?
I'm amazed that people buy apps at all, but.
So, yeah, they're saying that we're tired of fooling around with this. If you want to do business in the EU, you're going to have to open it up. I imagine the Apple lawyers are working furiously right now.
Prepare the bribes.
There's are they in Cupertino? Is that where Apple is?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Every Walmart and like department store in the whole state, you can't find a duffel bag. They're all sold out.
We got to send duffel bags of cash.
Also,
each EU nation.
The little paper straps that you put on money bundles.
Oh yeah,
can't
all
find
gone.
Them. All gone. Sold out for months. And Europe is also. This is not the European government, although the European government does seem a little bit open to this. But they're saying it's the telecommunication companies, and they're saying, "Hey guys, now I don't think the monopoly problem is as bad over there."
Probably not, but if you're European, let us know.
But our telcos have also made this argument. Now over here, this is a really dumb argument because it's like, dude, you've got a monopoly. Mm-hmm. Like, how much better could it be for you? Over there, I think there's a little more competition, but this still seems silly.
U.S. tech giants face pressure from Europe's telcos to pay for building the internet. Because they use more of the bandwidth, is the argument.
A wild statistic here. The big Amazon, Netflix, Facebook account for, I think it was 56% of all internet traffic.
That's so, I mean, I understand it because obviously that's just the world we live in now, but that's so sort of depressing when you think about it in the wider view that all of our traffic has been reduced to like 5 sites.
My browsing habits are not like that. Yeah, here we go. Meta, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and Netflix. That's 56%. 6 companies, 56% of the internet in the European Union.
Wow.
That is wild. But here's the thing about it. If those companies didn't exist, if those services weren't out there, would people use the internet as much?
That's also a good point.
I mean, it's like if you had a toll road and there was a mall on that toll road, you want people to come to the mall.
Right.
Because that's your business model. Yeah. Anyway, that sucks. And if it happens, the cost will be passed along to you, Euro citizens. So don't think it's like, yeah, stick it to those evil tech companies. They're just going to raise their prices.
Yeah. Which they just keep, I mean, we'll probably do a story about Netflix later, but like everyone keeps raising their prices.
Yeah, it's inflation. It's tough.
I don't like it.
And Airbnb, they were looking at some really rough reporting requirements, but it looks like the EU didn't go very far on this one.
Exclusive. Airbnb faces light touch regulation under EU plan, sources.
So what they want to know is how many people are Airbnb.
Probably a lot.
Right now, you don't have to really tell them that much. But they want to know exactly how much it is to sort of measure, like, how is this affecting our hotels? You know,
how is it affecting regular housing? Because a lot of people in certain cities can't get regular apartments or houses because they've all been Airbnb'd out.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it seems nice to not have the eye of Sauron looking at me while I vacation. But at the same time, Airbnb we've caught them so many times doing these horrible policies.
Well, right. Now it's so expensive at this point. You're not even saving money. And a lot of them have the same sort of surveillance things where they've got cameras on you and noise ordinances and like.
Now there's rules about that now, right? I think you can have them in the common area.
Yeah, but you can't have them in like bathrooms or anything.
And you have
like
to
that.
tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So I had a friend who went on vacation, got an Airbnb, and there was a noise monitor outside the room. If you made too much noise past a certain hour, like the owner reserved the right to kick you out.
It is. Now, the other side of that coin is like wild parties.
Right. That was what that was for.
You definitely don't want wild parties at your home. And I mean, people are going to go absolutely wild at a party like that.
Yeah.
It's not even your house. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just take a dump in the bedroom. I'm drunk.
It's not my problem.
And moving on to some security, this is a sad one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine these people have a ton of extra money. I don't know what you're going to get out of them. Why do this?
ALMA observatory in Chile targeted by cyberattack. Yeah, this feels like it's the same thing as like when they attack hospitals. It's like, why? Why bother?
Well, hospitals have money.
Yeah. Well, the patients don't. They usually just leak patient data.
Yeah. Well. Unfortunately, in the U.S. at least, our hospital systems are these giant conglomerates at this point. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, well, yeah, you can't extract money from them. They are evil. But like you say, it ultimately makes people suffer and possibly die. But here, we're just not going to learn about the space. And we need to learn about space.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Disgusting. Over in Slovakia, they're having a similar problem. But once again, now, of course, Parliament does have money, I guess, but they're probably not going to pay your ransom.
Votes in Slovakia's parliament suspended after alleged cybersecurity incident. My favorite quote from this article was something about like, they can't even use the cafeteria.
Right. Somehow the cafeteria is tied in to the internet in such a way they can't serve food. I guess they can't take payments.
Well, I'm assuming, so at least at my college, you had like the meal card. Maybe that's like tied to your ID somehow.
Maybe just one day, but it was for the lawmakers, right?
I'm imagining too, like when I heard the word cafeteria, I was imagining them. What do they eat? Do they have the little cartons of milk and like corn and pizza?
Well, you should look at what Congress gets.
Oh, I never looked that up either.
They have a great kitchen. They have a full gym, fitness center, spa. They have haircuts, hairdresser on staff for all the Congress people.
What a waste.
Absolutely, that's disgusting.
So next to the White House pollinator garden, we'd also be cutting the hair staff under my presidency.
Yeah, just give them peanuts, right? Like while you're in session, we'll give you a pack of peanuts.
Well, I can understand having a cafeteria because if you're working, you might not want them to go off campus to go eat all the time. But like
DoorDash,
hairdressers,
you can do Uber Eats.
well, it's a security risk. It probably would take forever for them to actually get in.
Oh, poor guys. How about they pack a lunch? They are servants.
They do. They do probably also have servants at their households.
Have Paul Pelosi whip up a little Lunchable, maybe a ham sandwich.
Has to eat like their constituents. McConnell's eating soup, beans, and cornbread every day. Vienna sausages during the breaks.
That'll be delicious, though. He doesn't deserve that. Well, you know what they could have? They could have some Ritz crackers. Ritz cracker is owned by, you guessed it, a giant conglomerate. Mondelez International, which owns a ton of stuff. And Mondelez had a little ransomware attack. But the good news was they had insurance. The bad news,
Ritz Cracker Giant settles bust up with insurer over 100 million plus NotPetya cleanup. So this was interesting because they were arguing that it was an act of war.
which we did uncover that NotPetya was Russian.
Right.
Or at least
Russian military.
A lot of people are claiming that. And the insurance company was like, well, this is an act of war. That is force majeure. We don't pay out on that. So then a lawsuit happened. Now it's being settled, but we don't get to know
the details
it's
at all.
Non-disclosure
Yeah.
settlement. So the question is, the next time this happens, the next insurance company is going to say the same thing.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes why do we even have insurance? Because it's such a pain in the butt to get them to pay up for anything.
Because if you don't have it,
you're ultimately
be broken
screwed.
and destroyed.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you don't have a choice, like if you're driving.
Like car insurance, yeah.
And unfortunately, we have another story about Photoshop in the business section. I believe that the Photoshop story sparked a lot of interest in this software, and someone was opportunistic and evil.
Google ad for GIMP.org served info stealing malware via lookalike site. This was really clever how they did it too.
So it's the old Google ad. If you search for GIMP, it comes right at the top. It links you to GIMP.org, but wait, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it actually takes you, it was like gimpling.org or something like that. But it was designed to look exactly like the GIMP site.
It's just two eyes.
Yeah.
And that was malware. It would download a setup file, setup.exe, and that would set up some malware for you.
I guess the way Google Ads is set up, you can have the two URLs. One is like the base URL and one is the actual landing page you want the ad to take people to. So the way that they did it was show the person gimp.org, but actually take them to this landing page, but it wasn't really a landing page.
Why? Why is it like that?
So they can run promotions and advertising, I suppose.
That's not the way we should do that.
I would think that they would make it so it has to be like it has to be the same domain, but must not be.
Maybe now it will be.
Yeah.
But also that just shows that nobody is, I mean, we know that the ad system is completely automated.
Yeah.
But nobody is checking up on any of that. That's just sad.
Do you think that was brought up at all in the engineering talks about when they set that system up? Like, hey, we should probably set it up so it's the same URL, like same domain. And it's like, no, marketing people won't like that.
That probably, yeah, we have heard, I can't remember what, I think it was Facebook. Oh yeah, when Facebook was on trial, they were talking to, or when they were being questioned by Congress, some guy was like, I want to know exactly what happens when someone buys advertising. Walk me through the entire process. And the engineer was like, once it goes into the ad department, I can't touch it or see it or do anything.
Did they not have anyone from the ad department there?
No, the ad department was like a lockbox that nobody got to look into. They had like special privileges and stuff.
They had special cafeteria, hairdressers. Yeah.
So the ad department does seem to make ultimately the final decisions because that's where the money comes in, I think. And we have learned just how big our ransomware problem was, at least in 2021.
It's a huge number. U.S. banks processed roughly 1.2 billion with a B in ransomware payments in 2021, according to federal report.
That's a lot. That was 3 times more than 2020.
Ooh.
So that's some heavy growth.
In 2020, we were all locked down. They had all the time in the world.
I think the ransomware did pick up during 2021 though because of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was more, they weren't getting money through the traditional organized crime means.
Yeah, everything, everyone was kind of in these trying times.
Plus working from home made phishing a lot easier, a lot harder to catch that kind of thing. Unfortunate. Now we know about Amazon and their wrist tracker tool. It makes sure that you're picking and running and most importantly, not peeing. Critical.
Never peeing.
Do not pee during your work shift. And people hate that thing. And some other businesses, they saw that and they were like, yes.
Big meat companies want to use smartwatches to track workers' every move. They need to have an update to the jungle where this is incorporated into the narrative.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want to know what's going on in those packing plants. I don't want to know. I just want my delicious meats. But yeah, this thing is going to, it tracks like not only your movement, but the speed and
efficiency with which you process the meat.
How fast you move. And so there's, obviously if you're lackluster, if you're just, barely reaching out to throw the meat, then they're going to be like, listen, you got to step that up. They also talk about how repetitive stress injuries are overwhelming in the meat business because you're literally standing on an assembly line doing one thing.
Yeah, that's true of probably any factory, I would think.
But we had all those scares where the meat plants shut down during the thing. And that had a big effect almost immediately.
Yeah.
So. Well,
there's also bird influenza going around again. I think in both Europe and the U.S.
And regular influenza. We also learned that because of the whole ICE debate, that a lot of meat company places are staffed by illegal aliens. And they'll regularly sweep them up and take like half the working staff. So I guess that makes them easier to replace. It's disgusting. This one's a little bit spicy. I don't know if did they cover I read this somewhere else. Did they cover his tweets?
Yeah, there's a tweet in there. There's a link to
There
it.
was many tweets. He did the whole John McAfee thing.
Early maker DAO, developer and stablecoin pioneer, found dead in Puerto Rico. He was found washed up on the beach in an area that is known for riptides. But he had a series of tweets right before he passed that were kind of weird and unhinged, saying that he was going to be killed.
By the CIA.
Right.
And that he had some information that he was trying to get out, and that was being stopped by a variety of ways, and that if he turned up dead, it was not by his own hand. He said that several times. Then he turned up dead.
Yeah. I mean, it looks suspicious, but also his tweet kind of read a little bit unhinged.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are maybe atypical mental states.
Like, it just read, the one I saw, it was just like a long paragraph and there was like no periods. It's just a giant run-on sentence.
But if someone was trying to kill me and I was quickly trying to get that information out, maybe I would do the same thing.
You got to proofread. It's important. Literacy is important in this country.
The CIA agent is behind you. He's like twisting on the silencer, and you're like, hang on.
I have to use a semicolon.
Would you use an Oxford comma here? I can't decide.
And the guy's like, he grabs his like MLA style manual. Let's find out.
All right. That's, what was it? Business and security. Mm-hmm. And thank you, Techie Satva, for the thoughtful nuts. Wolfie's nuts. I don't know if I've ever seen Wolfie's nuts in any stores. Have you?
No, I didn't open the initial package. I don't know if there's any other note. I think it was just this one. So I don't know anything else about it. We'll have to look it up.
We'll learn more about that and get back to you.
All right.
And we'll see you tomorrow when we talk about business and social media.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Ooh, I hit myself.
Don't do that.
No, it's November 9th, and I immediately forgot the sections too.
You're going to get red flagged.
This
Self-harm.
video, yes, self-harm.
Well, maybe you're going to want to self-harm yourself after you hear our opening block of economic collapse.
Stripe lays off 14% of workers. But wait, there's more.
Is there?
Well, more stories like
collapse.
that. Yeah.
There's not much more to say about that. Yeah. Just like everybody else, they've seen the writing on the wall and they're like, yeah, we don't need all these employees. Time to save money. And we learned recently of all the big earnings reports, somehow Amazon
Pulled it through.
came through and they didn't have a terrible one, but that was not enough to save them, it seems.
Amazon pauses hiring for corporate workforce.
You know, when the white collars start getting cut, things are bad.
They also recalled the Rings of Power people back to the UK. They're not filming in New Zealand.
Oh, what does that mean?
That means they're going to have to try to move all those sets and stuff over.
Does that really save a lot of money?
I wouldn't think so, unless they get some sort of tax break. But they were already getting tax breaks from New Zealand, so.
You think they might cancel it?
I don't think they'll cancel it. They've put too much money into it.
Well, this could certainly have had something to do with that because Amazon was part of a very small, very powerful group of companies, and they are no longer. Well, I don't know. As of the recording, I think they are still under what they need to be.
Amazon sell-off pushes market cap below 1 trillion for first time since April 2020.
Yikes. 6% drop in their stock price, and they can no longer call themselves a $1 trillion company.
Apple just, yes! Yes! He just punches through a wall. The whole wall is covered in holes from where he just punches it all the time.
You think Tim Cook could get his hand through a wall?
He gets like a really thin drywall and has them replace it.
He
periodically.
demands that his security guy punch the wall.
He sees that on the news and he's like, Tim. He names his security guy also Tim and tells him to go punch a wall.
And Uber, they have also been facing some issues, and now they have this guy who has some crazy eyes saying that their business model is inherently flawed.
It's an unflattering photo. Uber whistleblower says current business model absolutely unsustainable.
He talked a lot about the whole gig worker thing, and not an employee but rather a contractor.
That's already being stopped in so many countries like New Zealand.
It seems like there's no way that's going to survive, right?
Yeah.
With the current political climate and the way that, the whole Great Resignation and people fighting for workers' rights and that kind of thing, doesn't seem like it's going to stand up. And if it doesn't, can Uber be a functional company? This guy says no.
It seems like, yeah, they're kind of banking on people not having a lot of options.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate for them. And none of these pages
Are loading.
The JavaScript is
Engadget website.
it's struggling.
Come on. Oh, there it goes.
There we go. And of course, when a company, other than firing everybody, what can you do to fight the economic collapse?
T-Mobile will start charging a $35 fee on all new activations and upgrades. And what's that even for? Even if you do it yourself online.
The ISPs have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
Self-install? You want to self-install? Okay, go ahead and self-install. It'll save you a day of waiting. Oh, we're still going to charge you for that. So
You didn't do anything. Yes, my work here is done.
that's unfortunate. And Charter, we learned that Charter was giving its users more internet speed. And that was a beautiful thing. But then Comcast, I think Comcast is owned by Charter, right?
Yeah.
We learned that Comcast customers would have to have specialized equipment and they'd have to lease it from Comcast, which was what, $25 a month?
Something like that.
So I was like, well, you're kind of just charging me more when you're giving me more speed. And they were like, well, no, the actual price increase was coming later.
Charter raises base internet to $80 a month. Price hikes to 9.5 million users. This is for their lowest tier as well.
So that's going to go 80, 100, and 120 for the three tiers on Spectrum. Oh, maybe Charter owns Spectrum and Comcast is a different one.
Yeah, Charter does own Spectrum. That's right.
Anyway, they're all doing it because inflation and economic collapse and bad business models, despite the monopoly.
We pay a lot for internet. I mean, it's necessary, but...
I pay less to get the fiber. Yeah, it's crazy.
Though to be fair, yours drops out all the time too.
I don't know if that's their fault though. I think it is. I think it's the NAT and the fact that I'm not using their equipment.
Oh, they don't like that. They're punishing you.
I don't know. Hodl Knot, is that how you'd pronounce that? A terrible name. I mean, I know it means hold on for dear life, but a terrible name. And apparently a terrible business model.
Crypto leader Hodlnot lost almost 190 million in Terra crash report. They're going to make sure that the money goes back to their people who invested, right?
Well, they're not necessarily failing yet. They might be able to hold on, but they have now announced that the whole Terra Luna thing, they owned a lot of that. And now they don't own anything.
Look at all the social media icons on this site. They're in the sidebar. They're underneath the photo. They're on the other sidebar. They really want you to share it.
Oh, I would love to have the Decrypt app on my phone. Who wouldn't want that? And, of course, another Bitcoin miner. I don't know if any of the Bitcoin miners are going to survive at this point.
Bondholders of troubled Bitcoin miner core. Scientific said to be working with lawyers. Report.
Bankruptcy lawyers. Those are the lawyers that they're working with.
Lawyers to protect their asset and continue to build their business. No.
Because Bitcoin mining has failed in a big way, and all these companies were holding the bag as the bag was yanked away. I don't know if this is like, considering we're looking at all these ways that everybody's getting destroyed in business and people don't have any money and people are starving, and yet this money was available. I don't know what that says about us. Nothing good.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 breaks franchise record with 800 million sold in 3 days.
I haven't seen a lot of, I'm not a big Call of Duty guy, but I haven't seen a lot of hype about this. Have you been seeing
I haven't seen any hype. I had one friend who picked it up, and then he was trying to get all of us to play it, and then we looked it up, it's $70. We were like, no, dude, no.
It is true that it seems like gaming, it just becomes more and more mainstream as we go along. And as younger generations grow into that, age where they can buy their own games.
Yeah.
So I guess this is probably just going to be an ongoing thing, right?
$70, but it has all the microtransaction crap in it too, I'm sure.
Is $70 the cheapest one?
I think so.
Wow.
I think that's the base price. I could be wrong. Correct me, but...
What are they thinking?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I'm not paying that for a game.
Well, I guess what they're thinking is we're going to make $800 million. And the Call of Duty franchise has actually been in like international courts at this point, because the argument is this is such a juggernaut. And as we can see by the sales numbers, it certainly is, that if Microsoft owns it by merging with Activision Blizzard, will they cut other people off? They're trying to stop that from being a belief, although I think they will eventually. If they
Yes. Microsoft promises eternal support for Call of Duty on PlayStation.
So they'll change the name, right?
Yeah, exactly. They'll change the name or they'll do like they did with Overwatch where, oh, Overwatch 1 servers are going away. Now we have this other game you have to play.
We have a new game franchise. It's called Answering the Call of Duty. It's new and different. And it's Microsoft exclusive. Uber, one thing about Uber, their business model might be not great, but they do have that real estate on people's phones.
Yeah.
You have that app on your phone because you might need it if you're drunk or the car breaks down or whatever. And while they're on your phone, you know what they're saying? Why don't we take advantage of that?
Uber tests push notification ads, a feature literally no one wants. They were already talking about running ads on the app, but push notification is a next level.
The reporter here got one at 9 a.m.
Imagine you've been out drinking the night before.
Oh, and you
get
Ubered
back,
home?
yeah, and then you get an ad the next morning.
That's disgusting. But we did learn last week that Uber is like really serious about getting into ads, and apparently aggressively. Windows 11, I've not upgraded it. Have you?
I don't think no.
They'll force us into it eventually, but for now, we're not alone.
Windows 11 runs on fewer than 1 in 6 PCs. 10 is still king.
Also, interesting other factoid from here, more 7s than 8s. No one is running Windows 8.
I remember a lot of people being upset when 8 came out.
It was garbage.
Yeah.
And we have some new features from Google. All of them are a little bit Big Brother-ish, although I guess it is a convenience.
Google's building package tracking right into your Gmail inbox.
That means they're reading my tracking emails.
Yeah, they want to see your tracking number so you can click on it directly.
Now, they already have, you know what drives me crazy is if you get like a FedEx or a USPS tracking number from Amazon, and we'll talk about that here. I have to click on that thing, and then I have to go to Amazon, who will not give me the full information. Then I copy and paste the number. Then I Google the number. Then Google gives me their, but it's not current. It doesn't update constantly.
Oh, so you have to go to the website and then...
They're caching a version of that. So then I have to go further and click through, and it's like 8 clicks to get to my tracking number. Now, the reason they point out here, The Verge, the reason that Amazon does that is because Amazon doesn't want Google to know what products you're buying from Amazon, because then Google will take that data and build it into their customer profile and give them a better advertising edge than Amazon.
And then we all suffer for it.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have to click 8 times because of that nonsense. Did I add that twice? Oh, no, it's the same.
They just use the same stock image each time.
That's funny. And it's kind of about the same kind of thing.
Google's new shopping features can help you snag good deals. My husband got included in this. He was mad about it because he was like, look up bed sheets on Google real quick. And mine just looked like normal, but I guess he was seeing ads for lots of different types of bed sheets instead of relevant results.
What was he getting? The like coupon codes?
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of browser plugins already do this. Google just kind of took that idea and baked it in, I guess.
I feel like search results are getting less and less relevant.
Google search results. Yeah, there was another story I didn't include it, but people were constantly searching sites that you wouldn't expect, like Reddit, to try to get information because the Google search were so bad.
I do that a lot of times if I'm looking for like a review or just general information that comes from a human and not a robot.
Yeah.
Though now Reddit's always been compromised, but it's been getting worse for advertising every year.
It's wild that Google has fallen so far in terms of search. I mean, they had that locked down, and now
they let advertisers get to it. That's the problem with everything anymore.
And the other problem that Google has is it is so ready to put the blade to all of its products. And now we have 2 today.
Google is shutting down its dedicated Street View app next year. This is for mobile. I panicked a little bit when I saw this. I was like, no more Street View, but it's just on your phone.
Well, you can still even do Street View on the website on your phone.
Yeah.
but there was a dedicated app that was nothing but Street View. That will be removed.
I don't think I even had. I don't think most people probably had that. But
A little superfluous, perhaps.
yeah.
Maybe we won't miss that one quite that much, but some people will miss this one.
Rip Google Hangouts, Google's last best chance to compete with iMessage.
So yeah, it seems like people don't really use it, so it's gonna die.
If they end up coming up with some sort of messaging standard, that kind of makes sense to kill that. I don't know that it'll happen, but
I was on my Gmail and they redesigned Gmail, and now it's got like the chat thing integrated into it.
yeah.
So I was clicking on it. I was like, can I get rid of this? And there was one thing. It was like, just go do not disturb and then you can set a calendar date when to turn it back on. I was like, okay, do not disturb forever. So I just went like way out in the future. You can only do not disturb for 1 year. It turns itself back on after a year.
Thank goodness.
But if you are all in on the Google ecosystem and you say, I only have Google products in my home and I will only game on a Chromebook, or maybe you're one of those poor people who only has a Chromebook for gaming, this is good news for you.
Steam on Chromebooks enters beta, adds AMD support.
Previously, you had to have an Intel CPU. It had to be an i5 from a fairly recent generation, and it had to have the integrated Intel graphics, the Z graphics. But now they've opened it up to more of the AMD products, and they've increased game compatibility.
There's also a list in that article if you're interested to know if that affects you.
Of the Chromebooks that it'll work with.
Yeah.
What a tough life gaming on a Chromebook.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Now, I imagine that you had already heard about this one and were probably somewhat upset.
It doesn't really affect me since I do digital work, but
Oh, this is just for the print.
yeah, this is usually used
of-
for print stuff.
Interesting.
You're going to have to pay to use some fancy colors in Photoshop now. This is the Pantone libraries. Pantone is removing their libraries from new copies of Photoshop. Apparently because Photoshop, Adobe didn't update them. There are literally hundreds of colors that aren't in their products and they just don't want to renew their license with them.
Kotaku offers several workarounds, one of which is just pull the library and make a backup of it. And then
Yeah.
every time Adobe updates your software, replace the library.
I don't use it that often because, again, I work in digital, so we're doing a different color space. But kind of sucks if you're locked into something in print. Like some Pantone colors you have to use for certain brands, and they're very particular about that. So that kind of sucks. But
When I first learned about that way back in the day, it really confused me. But I guess it's the difference of things that generate light and things that light bounces off of, right? Is that
you're
the
right, like
truth?
CMYK versus
Right.
yeah RGB. Yeah, one is an additive, one is subtractive.
Amazing. Amazing what these eyes of ours can do. Even ones that are terribly damaged, like yours.
Nah.
And Discord has gotten a bit of a bad reputation in terms of censorship, shutting things down. Although a lot of horrible things were going on Discord, so I can see their pain. It's hard to manage people.
It really is.
It's pretty bad, and so they've gotten serious about it.
Discord bans 68,000 servers and 55 million accounts. Honestly, I haven't heard of any community, I don't know of any communities that have been affected by this. Apparently, it's mostly exploitative stuff is what they said they were taking down.
Yeah, there's a lot. Remember we learned about there was some young girl playing Roblox or something.
Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff.
They lured her into the Discord, and then there were nudes, and
Yeah.
it's unpleasant. You know what I hate though is there's this new trend for software. I was playing Stalker Gamma, which is like a total mod rebuild of the game, and installing it is a bit of a pain. And when you go to how to install this, they're like, well, here's a YouTube video. I don't want a YouTube video.
I hate that too.
I want text. And they're like, well, just go to the Discord. Just read it on the Discord and ask questions on the Discord.
But then you have to join their Discord and then you have to leave the Discord.
I don't
It's
want to join
annoying.
your Discord. I don't want to watch your videos. I don't want to just text. Just give me text.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't exist.
I don't mind the videos if they're short. You know what I mean? If it's just here's a 2-minute video walking you through it.
Even that is.
I don't like it when it's a 20-minute intro and then, favorite and subscribe. And then they take the longest time to explain it.
It's always bad. Don't do it. And Meta, now I did not put this in the social media section because I don't think this is social media related necessarily. This is just general software.
Meta's AI-powered audio codec promises 10 times compression over MP3. I don't know a whole lot about audio. Is that great?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
But I always hear like compressed to hell. Don't you not want that?
Well, for music, yeah, you lose something, certainly. I mean, the music purists want the
highest quality,
lossless.
Yeah.
But this is not necessarily for that. This is more for if you have low bandwidth, voice, and streaming audio, it's not going to be choppy.
Like a podcast, like this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. And it is impressive. I mean, you lose something when it puts it back together, but they're saying that theirs is almost as good as MP3 in terms of quality. I don't know what bit rate they're competing with. Oh, 64 kilobit MP3. Oh, yeah.
There's an image right there.
That's really low. A 64 kilobit MP3 is pretty trash. Like anything below 192, I can hear.
Oh.
320 versus lossless, I have trouble with. They say as you get older, your ears degrade.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And like young people might be able to pick that out, but now I can't, which is depressing.
Like the mosquito tone on cell phones. Where
yeah. It's very similar to that, right? So I guess that's good. Although, if they bake that into the online stuff, we'll just lose quality. I guess. Well, Uber, as we mentioned, business model, maybe not the best. They're doing some nasty things to try to keep their business afloat. This should terrify them.
Teleport creators raised $9 million to build decentralized Uber rival on Solana. I read this and I was like, this is a little bit word soup for me.
So the idea here is what they want to do, or what they have done, is what the EU wants social media to be. Like, instead of Twitter just being Twitter, Twitter has a protocol that they use that anybody else can also use.
Okay.
So
like web standards.
Kind of like that, yeah. So let's say that, Uber starts using, or these people start using Trip. I could just as easily do my own version of Trip.
Okay.
And it could intercommunicate if I desired that. And so that way, if you have something going on Trip, you could just move it to someplace else. And it's not a big deal. And that way, if someone like Uber does something horrible,
you can skip to a different app that does the same thing.
The next competitor is immediate. And they don't really have to do a lot of the work to get it up to speed.
Well, that sounds good. But in this article, it mentions Jake Paul as an investor. And that's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't hate something just because they give that thing money, right? Seems like a good idea. We'll
Influencer, Jake Paul.
We'll see what happens with it. And this one actually was updated. So the crazy headline is not as crazy, but we'll go ahead and read it.
Cheaper Netflix with ads plan is not supported on Apple TV. Update coming soon.
By the time you watch this, it might actually already be there.
Yeah.
They were just waiting to roll it out later.
Though, I don't know if we had a story about this. Apparently, the new ad-supported tier, it doesn't have The Crown or Arrested Development. And I'm like, oh, guess it's back to pirating.
Some of us never stopped. And this is terrifying, and I think a lot of people are going to do this because this seems like a really convenient thing, but oh boy, I wouldn't even dream of doing this.
New Mac app wants to record everything you do so you can rewind it later.
Now you're thinking immediately like, oh my God, they're moving all my stuff to the cloud. They say no. They say it's going to be insane compression. So I don't know if they're also, it sounds like they were even going to replay the clicks, but when you look at it like that, it seems like they're only just copying video or everything you did.
They said it would all be searchable. So I'm like, how are they going to make that like say you do a 1-hour phone call with a client. Is it going to transcribe it? And is it going to transcribe it accurately?
Hell of a claim though, to have that kind of compression, but they say that they can definitely do it. So
potential privacy issues, all of them.
Yeah.
That's a headline in the article.
So many. And they're really trying to get ahead of that. It's like, oh, for your eyes only, it's only local. You control it.
For now.
But think about this. Every time that the government doesn't like what you're doing, the first thing they're going to do is come to your house and take all your electronic devices.
Or it'll reach a point where there's too much crap, and then it's like, well, just back up to the cloud.
Yeah.
And
Well,
people are like, well, I don't want to lose my meeting notes, and then they'll just do it.
it would have to be like a surveillance camera that just overrode itself after a certain time, right?
Which then, depending on how much stuff you do, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose? Because you're not making a comprehensive archive at that point.
Yeah. Expand your storage. That's cheap to do on Apple computers. Moving on to hardware, I'm sure that Wendell hates missing this one because, you know, he
I hate it when he misses it too, because I struggle to read the hardware names.
there's not a lot of this one is AMD seems to have said, you know what, we're not going to bother competing for the ridiculous brass ring of having the fastest. What we want is the most efficient. And based on the number we've seen so far, it seems like they've achieved that.
AMD unveils Radeon RX 7900 XTX. This is a small headline. 7900 XT for performance per watt gaming leadership.
So performance per watt, meaning it's much lower power than the flagship NVIDIA cards. But for the power that you give it, you get more performance than comparative NVIDIA cards.
Considering we're all a little bit afraid for the electricity situation, that seems like probably a wise direction to move in.
Certainly with that, I mean, considering the 4090 and the power issues that it has been having recently.
The melting.
And yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you've got, I'm running the 12900K, and with this seasonable warmth that we've been having lately, I don't have to run heat.
Oh.
It just heats the room.
Do you have your computer in a small room or like out in your living room? Or?
My living room is not huge, but it's like opens up into the kitchen and the hallway.
And it's still warm enough
it's
to...
all fine. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, this is the chiplet stuff. They're really doubling down on the chiplets and trying to get that efficiency. It's got more cache. It's got more of like the AI stuff on it. And overall, not a huge step up, but very efficient. I would consider one. My gaming habits right now, I'm never pushing my video card.
No, I feel like all the games that I'm excited for are all small, like indie games that usually aren't performance heavy.
Yeah. We played
I guess Snowpiercer it wasn't too bad. Like I didn't have any issues with it.
Snowpiercer.
Or not Snow Runner. The trucking game. It's got pretty good graphics.
I don't think there's an NDA, but Wendell did reveal that they were running Overwatch at 300 plus FPS, Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
But that's not a really tough game to run.
No, it's usually, well, I haven't played Overwatch 2, but the first one was really well optimized.
You played Overwatch 2?
I did the beta, but I haven't done the final.
It's probably not different.
No, probably not. They also canceled one of the betas. It's literally like they were just like, quick, push it out. Make money.
Well, we have a release date. Unfortunately, you will not be getting the PlayStation VR for Christmas because it won't be out. But good news, you can pre-order it. You can pre-order it for Christmas. And you can just give somebody a little piece of paper that says eventually someday.
I owe you.
Yeah, maybe you can have this eventually someday. The bad news is it's going to cost more than a console.
PlayStation VR 2 release date and price revealed. Yes, that's more than a PlayStation 5.
So it's going to be $599.99.
Whew.
That is pricey.
In these inflationary times.
These guys used it. They said the display was great. It was comfortable and they liked it, but very expensive.
One of these videos had Horizon Zero Dawn in VR, which looked pretty cool. I don't think it's $600 cool, but...
How do they deal with the locomotion in that game?
I couldn't tell from the clip. The clip they showed was like him pulling back on a bow and then him pulling back on like some sort of giant crossbow sort of thing.
But what about walking? That's
yeah, I
where
didn't
it
see
gets
that.
you.
Yeah.
The walking will make you puke. Although maybe when the hardware gets good enough, that won't be the case.
Except our human hardware, that's an inner ear thing because you're perceiving motion, but you're not actually moving. The inner ear isn't.
Actually, I think that would probably mean the better the graphics get, higher graphical fidelity would be more puke, right?
I would think,
Because
yeah.
you'd be tricking your brain.
You're like, oh, I'm walking, but you're not actually walking. I don't know if anyone has tried a more recent VR. It's been a few years since we did it.
Well,
I did feel that though.
It's interesting that Qualcomm is like just part of their business model is constantly being in litigation.
Yeah.
Everybody sues everybody when it comes to chip making. And now that ARM is getting more and more popular, and all these other chip makers are trying ARM versions, we got Microsoft, Intel, all these people. They maybe are getting a little bit full of themselves, and they think that they can do what they want when it comes to the big boys.
Arm-Qualcomm legal battle suggests OEMs need ARM IP licenses, not chip firms.
So right now, Qualcomm, for example, would license the ARM chips, and then they would sell the chips down the road. But ARM is saying, no, Qualcomm is not playing fair. We now are going to license directly with the people who are selling the ultimate product. And Qualcomm is like, no, you can't just skip us. And ARM says, yes, we can. So, of course, this legal battle will go on for decades.
Yeah.
It'll probably ultimately slow ARM down. Is that what we need? Probably not. But on the other hand, TSMC are saying that we have learned so much from these new architectures. When Intel took a crap on the chiplets, and they're like, oh, look, they're building them with Lego blocks. How stupid. And then a couple of years later, they're like, yeah, we're doing that too. It's great. Well, turns out everybody wants to do that, and TSMC wants to help.
TSMC wants to unleash a flood of chiplet designs with 3D Fabric Alliance.
So, yeah.
They want to make it easier for everybody.
Probably good. We have officially given up on the monolithic dies at this point, I guess.
I like the word chiplet a lot.
It is a fun
Satisfying to say.
Someone should use that in like potato chip marketing.
Oh, yeah. Chiplets.
Yeah. Probably get sued at this point, right?
Yeah. TSMC. Oh, we've already got a legal letter drafted for that.
Someone could confuse your potato wafers with our silicon wafers, and we can't have that.
Can eat both.
Well, this is an interesting follow-up because we've been following the story for 2 weeks about Amazon and Google fighting over the TV space.
Amazon and Google make peace over smart TV competition, but it's an uneasy peace.
Yeah, it's not really a peace.
Yeah.
So it had to do with this TCL. They make the TVs, and they came back to Amazon. They're like, hey, listen, we would love to do business with you, but Google will not tolerate that. They will beat us if we do that. And so once it was publicized, Amazon and Google kind of came to the table, and they worked it out for this one instance.
Yeah.
But moving forward, probably going to be
more slap fights coming.
Yeah, more of a battleground on that. What? No, that's a pretty good little picture there, isn't it?
He looks really ominous with a mouth. Also, the scale of the mouth is very large.
Well, they probably didn't want to resize the Amazon logo too much.
Yeah.
But what is not mentioned here, which is what I need, dumb TV.
Where's the dumb TV? No one's going to do that anymore because they want to know what you're watching so they can advertise to you.
And Microsoft, they have a plan, and my God.
They already do this.
Only Microsoft could come up with something this stupid.
Microsoft mulls cheap PCs supported by ads, subs. Want a low-cost machine? Agree to the... Oh, I can't read that far away. It's being bombarded with ads.
So this is going to be, basically a cloud thin client. It's going to get you into your Office 365, and you're going to do everything through that. You'll be watching ads while you do all of that. And you have to pay a monthly fee after you get your cheap laptop.
That just makes me want to punch a wall. And I punch my own walls. I don't have Tim do it for me. Also, unrelated, go down to the very bottom of this page. See, there's like that thing there. You can just hit OK on that and walk through it. You don't have to actually answer anything.
Does it show me the results?
I think so. I didn't go all the way through it, but I was like, oh, this is not coded well.
It's just
yeah, you can just... Because there was another article from the Register, and I was like, can I click this without answering? And you totally can.
Who does that? Oh, look, it keeps jumping me back down there.
Yeah, it wants you to fill that out.
Terrible website. In New York City, maybe, the whole right to repair thing, maybe this is a bad reason to do that, or maybe it's a good reason. It's hard to tell, but this is definitely a problem they're having.
Fires from exploding e-bike batteries multiply in New York City, sometimes fatally.
So they have an army of delivery drivers.
Ooh.
And they drive these e-bikes because, it's a lot easier on you to drive these things.
You're going uphill, yeah.
And the problem is because of their work schedule and their long hours and the weird times they might have to work, you can't just have one e-bike.
You gotta rotate through them.
3 or 4. So that's a multiplier on your chances of a fire. Also, if you own 4 different brands, you might try charging them with the same charger, but we don't have universal chargers for e-bikes.
I wonder if that'll be used as we need a universal charging standard lawsuit one day.
And if you bang them up at all, if those batteries take any kind of damage, the risk really just goes through the roof here. Also, counterfeit batteries are obviously an issue. And when you live on top of other people and the bike is at the bottom, huge problem. I wonder what the theft rate on those is.
I don't know. We've got some in the city near us now. Or they're scooters. Actually, they're scooters. Motorized scooters.
But those are the rental ones, right?
Yeah, you can rent them downtown.
Now, those get charged at designated charging stations,
Yeah,
right? I don't think you can charge them.
No, you can't just like plug in a wall charger and charge the cities.
It's probably a little safer. And finally, I thought this was just funny to throw in because, like, first of all, it's a really, really bad mark on you if you work with these people at all these days, at least in certain circles. And the other thing is, like, how could you be more oil industry than these guys? But they're talking about diversifying out of it. I guess they really believe that we're moving away from it.
Saudi Wealth Fund sets up electric car joint venture with Foxconn. What I thought was weird about this is that they're wanting to do the city, right? And that's all supposed to be trains, right? Why would they invest in electric cars?
I don't think you're allowed to have a car in the Lion City. Right?
Yeah, so like maybe they're just trying to make sure that they cover everything in case the Lion City doesn't work out.
Well, I mean, they do have more people than can live in the Lion City. Other people got to get around. You know, the people who clean the Lion City have to get to and fro.
I thought they were going to do a train. That's how it was supposed to work.
But I don't think they won't live there.
They're going to only I thought the whole point of the Lion City was that everyone could live in it and then everything you need was within walking distance. And if you didn't have it within walking distance, you rode the train.
But there's no way that you could afford it on a janitor's salary. That's like all those beautiful, like the Turks and Caicos and all those resorts and stuff. They will literally boat the workers back and forth.
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't get to live there.
You don't want the filthy pores in Yalm.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get them to and fro, and you can't be putting pollutants into the Lion City. It's a beautiful green place. This is not really tech related necessarily, although this affects ebooks. Yeah. Ebooks are a big part of this, obviously.
It will probably be relevant in other cases that will be tech related.
This is just, it shows that our government has been basically a rubber stamp for mergers up until this point, but it seems like they really are pushing back now.
Judge blocks Penguin Random House-Simon Schuster merger. These are 2 of the largest publishing houses, I think, anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And
Penguin and Random House, I think, only merged in like 2014. And they're like, why can't we do it again? Let's crush all competition. Yeah, and the judge was like, no.
Why can't we just control everything that people read? That's a good one. They will appeal it, and I think their appeal chances are not 0, unfortunately. They have too much power. I tried this, and I thought the interface was absolutely terrible.
I feel it's true of anything Amazon touches.
Have you looked at this at all?
I haven't looked at this, but like even just browsing stuff on Prime on their website is garbage.
Every time I wanted to play a song, it would try to give me a shuffle list. And I don't understand why, and I didn't care enough to keep looking into it. I just thought, man, I don't like
I'm just not going to bother, yeah. Amazon Prime now comes with a full music catalog of 100 million songs and ad-free podcasts. We're trying desperately to compete with Spotify, but our UI is garbage, so it will never work.
Spotify's UI is not great.
It's not great, but I don't have a problem finding new music on it. I just don't like that it promotes podcasts to me all the time.
One thing I liked more about Amazon is if I searched for a specific song name, it didn't show me a bunch of other garbage.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible to search for a specific song on Spotify. And let's say, like, if it's a song name that 1 million people have written a song called that, you might never find the one you're looking for.
You have to, put the artist in for it to pull.
On Amazon, I saw almost all the artists because it zeroed in on the exact name rather than just starting to fill in the blanks with other garbage. So their search seems better, but their interface was not great.
Yeah.
And the new learning paradigm, I suppose, is online. It seems like we're going to stick with that. And even the most powerful holdouts are getting chipped away.
Wharton, Berkeley, NYU offering online MBAs for the first time. The thing that staggered me that I struggled to get past in the very first line of this article was that some of these institutions cost $223,000.
Yeah, because these are the big boys. These are the big names.
That would pay my mortgage.
You know who went to Wharton? Mr. Donald Trump. And so one of the other big names that is holding out and refusing to do this is Georgetown Business.
Really?
And they talk about how Georgetown business students are coming to these schools and they're like, yeah, if I can do online. What they don't want to do is these are like the Elon Musks of the world, right? Mm. They are just like driven to keep pushing and building their career and doing all this. So they want to work while they go to school online. And the traditional programs aren't really built for that.
Man, it really is. Higher education really isn't about education. I guess it hasn't been for a while, but it really does feel like just diploma factories now.
They point out that especially M.B.A.s, because, business, you want to do a lot of networking. Mm. So you want to meet people while you're getting your M.B.A. who you can then use to leverage when you get the job or start the business. And online, are you going to get that? That's the question.
Yeah. Well, you probably, if you're paying $200,000 for a degree, you probably already have those connections. You just need the degree so that way you can have a check mark on your resume.
Maybe. Could be.
Because you're already rich.
That's definitely how Trump did it, isn't it?
Mm. That's how a lot of them do it.
And Netflix, this whole gaming thing, they seem to be serious about it. It's not going anywhere, but they just won't stop.
Netflix adds sixth gaming studio with acquisition of Spry Fox. I looked them up. The description in the article called them a cozy gaming company. And when I looked up their catalog of games, it was all like cuddly bear themed.
Well, I didn't recognize any of them. Are those mobile games?
I don't think so, but I didn't look at them too closely.
Triple Town, Alpha Bear, Cozy Grove. Oh, Cozy because they made Cozy Grove, maybe.
Well, the whole vibe of the games is it's kind of like cutesy, cute art style, really colorful.
I could see
not
that.
High stakes sort of gameplay.
Like a bored housewife. And she's on Netflix and she's got nothing to do.
It's like Stardew kind of thing where it's cozy.
Stardew was a masterpiece. How dare you?
Yeah, but Stardew's not like high octane gameplay. It's kind of relaxing. That's the point.
How am I going to marry the right girl if I don't put all of my effort into my farm?
Didn't she marry Haley? There's a picture of her over there. You guys can't see it.
Yeah.
Haley's not the right girl.
She seemed like the hardest to get.
You wanted the challenge.
And I wanted to teach her what it was like to live on the farm.
Wasn't she an alcoholic, or is that one of the guys?
That was just my backstory.
Oh, okay. There's one of the guys though who wants wine all the time.
That was my thing. I gave everybody wine. But there was a couple of teetotalers that got mad if you gave them wine. It's like, come on. Really? I mean, that even
you can use it in cooking.
Or whatever, resell it. You don't have to complain about it.
Oh, thanks for the gift, asshole.
Yeah, really. I would never marry those girls in Stardew. And Apple, of course, they have a couple of stores that have unionized. And it's not all of them, just a couple of them. And Apple has done a couple of petulant things since then, all to do with what they say is, hey, now that you have collective bargaining, you must do everything through collective bargaining. And if we decide to give the other people around you perks, we can't give that to you because we have to bargain with your union.
Apple employees. I can't hear me because I'm not in the mic. I can't read it from here. Mac Rumors is so small.
Apple employees at unionized Maryland store filed labor board complaint after being denied benefits. So everybody else around them got these perks. Do you remember what it was?
Perk 30s.
It was something really nice. And they didn't give to them. And they're like, hey, you're retaliating against us. And Apple's like, no, we're not retaliating against you. You have to go to your union rep and talk to them about this. You cannot talk to us because now you are collective.
Will any judge believe that, though? That's definitely retaliation.
I think they could get away with that, though, the way the unions are set up. The unions themselves like that, probably. They like being the
middleman.
Go-between.
Yeah.
Gives them a lot of power. But, of course, I do absolutely believe that is just Apple screwing with these people.
Yeah, they're just doing it. Yeah.
They probably.
It's not even a question.
I doubt they ever had a plan to give those perks to the other people.
No, it was literally just like, No, we'll punish these guys who are in the union.
And of course, that's a chilling effect because now
There's the motorcycles.
motorcycle season is lasting longer than usual.
Well, it's because we've had this nice, like, it's 60s during the day, 50s at night. Like,
Today's in the 70s, a gorgeous November day today.
yeah.
Got to take your loud ass bike out and rev it while you're waiting at a red light. You have to rev it.
He's revving it right now. I don't know if they can hear it.
But Apple now has done something that they did agree to do, and no one, I guess, maybe didn't expect them to actually follow through with it. But after a long time, they're finally doing it.
Apple's 100 million small developer assistance fund starts paying out.
So this had to do with some people complained, and I think they sued them for saying that Apple was doing a lot of anti-competitive stuff when it came to app developers.
Right.
And by doing that, they were costing them a lot of money. And they kind of like, here's how we're losing money based on that. And Apple said, you know what? We're going to put together a fund and we're going to do something about this. And it took a really long time, but that was August 2021 when that happened.
Not 2022. That's over a year ago.
But now finally, it seems that you get a very suspicious looking text message.
Oh.
And if you actually go through with it, which you probably shouldn't get in the habit of doing that, they might send you $8,000.
Yeah, if I saw that, I'd be like, I don't trust that.
Through Venmo too.
Yeah.
But Dan Lavelle got his $8,000. And he was excited about it.
I would be too. If eight grand just showed up in my bank account, I'd be thrilled. Though I'd also be confused and scared.
Sometimes that happens, and if you don't report it, you go to jail because they made a mistake.
What if you didn't use it? You still go to jail?
Yeah, well, most people do use it. Elon Musk, boy, he's been in the news a lot, hasn't he?
I hate him so much.
Yeah, he's going
I'm satiated on Elon Musk news.
He's going to tell us about, his antics have once again manipulated the crypto market.
Dogecoin surges on Elon Musk's Twitter deal. That's an unflattering angle of a photo of Elon Musk.
Yeah. The mainstream media has once again turned on Mr. Musk. He's the major enemy right now.
I mean, he's insufferable.
I feel
For a variety of reasons.
I hate him less now. Like, I'm not able to hate him at my maximum anymore because now everybody else has turned on him. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't join that crowd.
You're just contrarian. Now you're going to defend him.
I can't defend him, but I'm in a weird spot.
Yeah.
That's kind of like with Trump, right?
You can
Like,
just hate him in a different way than everybody else.
Trump is so hated, I can't join those insane people and hate him. But at the same time, I can't defend him.
Yeah.
So it's like, here we are now with Musk in the same way. Don't know how to feel about him. And JP Morgan, now, if you remember, the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, once said that cryptocurrency was just pure fraud. Things have changed.
JP Morgan executes first DeFi trade on public blockchain.
It was with Singapore, maybe, or Korea. Oh, yeah, Singapore, who just introduced new crypto laws because of the whole Terra thing. But yeah, I don't understand exactly what this contract was. It was through Ethereum, a layer 2 Ethereum, Polygon. But anyway, JP Morgan's a part of it, and they were excited enough about it to press release it.
They paid money to have that put in the press. We did a thing, guys.
And this also is not really tech related, but I just have recently learned a lot about the Sacklers and how monsters they are. And this number it's still too low.
It's paltry, yeah. CVS and Walgreens announced opioid settlements totaling $10 billion. That's for multiple countries, though, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walmart has not announced their number yet. There are some other pharmacies I think that are still holding out here, but
And they're not admitting wrongdoing.
that's the big part.
Yeah. They're just like, well, I guess we'll do this.
I mean, 10 billion is a lot of money. They're going to try to create, like helpful.
Hey, don't get addicted to pills signs.
Yeah, they're going to create little awareness groups and stuff. Probably a lot of that money is just going to be wasted.
I feel like everyone's aware that opioids are addictive at this point because everyone knows, at least here, everyone knows someone who's gotten addicted to pain pills.
Do you know the difference between an opiate and an opioid?
No.
Awareness, Krista. An opiate is derived from a natural source, like the poppy plant.
Okay.
An opioid is one of these, like engineered, super strong, synthetic versions of
Okay.
that, like fentanyl.
Either way, I'd probably try to avoid
So
them.
you should avoid all of
Yeah.
that. That's a good idea.
Even if someone, offers me one at a party, the correct answer, even though it is rude to your host, is to say no.
Yeah. I feel like people don't push too hard because ultimately they're like, I'll just keep that for myself.
Okay, I'll have this for later. Puts it back in their pocket.
And this story, this is allegations that just happened right before we started filming. So I imagine
Yeah.
we'll learn more about this. I don't know how true any of this is. He did point out that this woman made 6 figures as the lead housekeeper.
She managed a team.
So she wasn't, it's not like some poor migrant worker. She actually complained that they hired some undocumented people. She didn't like that. But this is on brand for Mr. Bezos, isn't it?
Yeah, 14-hour workdays with no break and no bathroom. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos sued by his former housekeeper. My favorite snippet that I saw of this was something about like people having to climb through windows to get to a bathroom off-site.
So the rule was, but he told her this when he hired her, you must work around the family, right? So if the family is in the home, you can't cross through wherever they are. You have to find another route to get to what you need to clean. If they're in a room, you don't clean that.
It's like zones in RimWorld.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, except they're constantly moving.
Yeah.
And you have to know where they are. So there were times when the bathroom that they were allowed to use was cut off by a member of the Bezos family in another room. And so then they would have to go out a window.
What I am curious about here is like, I don't know, I haven't really hired a housekeeper myself, but I know some people who have, and like typically you have the housekeeper come over like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and then you leave for like an hour while they do their job.
No, this is full-time staff.
How dirty are you getting the house that you're having to do that often? I guess it's a big house, but
Oh, they want it to be spotless the entire time. I mean, these people live in a different world than we do.
yeah.
The other great thing about it was the bathroom they were allowed to use was in a maintenance shed / power substation because that's the size of this house.
What's weirder about that is like they can't afford to have like a staff room like in Parkitect where you have bathrooms for the staff to use.
They could just assign one of the. I'm sure they got a ton of empty rooms in that house, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
This is the staff wing. We don't go to
Yeah.
the staff wing.
Put like an arcade machine in there, maybe a Pepsi machine.
This is a lot like Parkitect actually, because in Parkitect your guests don't like to see your staff like moving boxes and stuff, so you have to build underground tunnels. Maybe that's what Bezos should do.
Imagine if he invited another billionaire. Let's say he invited Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner at some point. Do you think Jeffrey Epstein wants to see a housekeeper ever?
Well, no one wants to see Jeffrey because he's corpse.
Well,
Corpse obsession.
Pre-suicide. I'm
Okay.
guessing. Yeah.
You're guessing, but it could just be his reanimated corpse too.
I just realized I don't think I put social media in this list. This was all business, wasn't it?
Oh, wait. Did we not do any social?
I don't think we did because we didn't do any of the Twitter stuff.
Oh, yeah. We briefly touched Elon, but nothing
I
else.
did this last week because it's so long.
All right. Well, there's going to be like a weird cut here, and then we'll combo these sections again. We just dropped out of the universe to do another section that we forgot.
And you had a exciting peanut.
I had the bacon flavor. Very good. It's very crunchy, so it was good. I didn't eat it on the mic, but the bacon jam can confirm.
Would you say that that's your jam?
I would say those were good. I sat there and ate a bunch of them while we sorted stories.
Adding bacon to things is it's a trope, but it almost always works.
Yeah.
Have you had? I want to try the what's the fast food place that we don't have them here, but they offer the bacon milkshake. Chat will know.
Was it Rallies?
No, we don't have them here. It's like Five Guys or
know.
Whataburger. It's one of those that we don't have. But
All the comments will be.
They have a
brand.
bacon milkshake.
That probably would be good.
I mean, it's salty sweet and always works.
Yeah.
You know what? This might be a little bit too inside baseball, but somebody very close to you hates salty and sweet, and I find that so bizarre.
He doesn't like salads with like fruit in it.
It's madness. Chicken salad with grapes in it.
He hates it.
Oh, it's so good.
He also hates raisins.
Wow.
And we just planted grapevines. So great.
He's out there like tearing them down right now.
There's these.
Can't let you find out. He's going to blame the dog. Well, we forgot to do social media. Somehow I sorted
Whoops.
without social media. It's so many business stories, but once we realized, like, where are the Elon Musk stories? Because that's all that social media is going to be this week.
Elon Musk planning to cut half of Twitter's workforce. Report. It's a large number, like thousands of people. I don't remember what it was now, but
Now, there was the story that he was going to fire him on Monday.
yeah.
Turned out that wasn't true. So they will get their quarterly dividend payout or whatever that was.
They're also supposed to get like a 60-day severance package, I believe.
Something like that. There is already a class action suit to stop him from doing that.
By the time this comes out, I'm sure some new fresh hell will have surfaced during this debacle. So
Can you imagine working for a monster like him after you've won a lawsuit? He would make you miserable. It's also bringing everybody back to the office. They're shutting down buildings.
I think they were bringing people back to the office because there was some sort of internal thing that was like, if you do that, half people just leave on their own. We won't have to pay severance.
Probably true. And he has, of course, fired the censorship czar girl. And it looks like her team has been detoothed.
Twitter reportedly limits employee access to content moderation tools as midterm election nears. Some of you may have noticed the hashtag trending Trump is dead the other day. And
There was a rumor about him being dead, right?
yeah, people were doing it just to prove like
Oh,
moderation.
you need to moderate this?
Yeah, because, well, it's misinformation, but if we spam it enough, it'll end up on trending on Twitter.
Wow, if Trump dies, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? That would change everything. So, yeah, there used to be that almost everybody had access to this, which seems maybe a little too much. Although, I don't know, like when it comes to censorship,
Isn't it better to have more people with more varying views having
think-
access instead of one?
I don't think there was a lot of varying views inside of Twitter at that point. Although Elon seems to want to make it the same, but just in the other direction. Right?
Yeah, so it's like it's a net negative either way.
And maybe the most controversial change he introduced this week. Now, of course, we have to remember Elon Musk tweets a lot of stuff that never happens. Like he loves the attention.
Yeah, he's a shit
And
poster.
He is just bathing it. He's like a lizard on a rock with a sun lamp on top of him right now. With it, he's soaking it in. He's loving it.
Elon Musk says Twitter Blue, the check, will cost $8 and include blue tick verification. Now, he originally said $20, and a lot of people got angry, and then he was like, well, what about 8? Which seems like maybe that was always the plan, to make it $8, but
He is a businessman. He knows how to play that game. So a lot of people attacked him over that. My favorite one was AOC, who crapped on it and was like, how could you do this? And then he pointed out that she sells a $48 sweatshirt on her website. She defended it.
at least you can wear the sweatshirt. What the hell do you get with a blue
You
tick?
could get a t-shirt with your blue check on it. I've never had any desire to have the blue check.
No. Well, and I feel like by making it something you can just pay for, it kind of loses its allure. Because it used to be like if you were a real celebrity, you would get the blue check. You'd get verified so people knew you weren't a fan account.
But you had to be a real celebrity who agreed with Twitter's point of view. That was the problem.
Well, there's lots of people who still have it.
Most of the people who don't agree with Twitter's point of view have been banned at this point. They don't have anything. But yeah, I figure like the worst kind of person will want this, right?
Well, yeah, people will pay for it just because they want that. But again, I think that devalues it. If anyone can get it, why get it?
I think Twitter in
That's like
general is being
haute couture.
devalued.
Yeah.
Right? Like Twitter does not have the social cachet that it always did.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I could kind of, what's weird about Twitter as a social media platform, it's one of those places that I feel like I can take or leave. Like, I don't feel any sort of real addiction to it. It's just like, okay, I'll come here and check this from time to time.
But Wendell is hopelessly addicted to it. Like
Yeah.
some people. And we're using it now as a source of what's going on in the world. That's the power of it. And like,
Yeah.
that's, we cover stories.
Yeah. So what I like to do is I'll see a news story and then I go to Twitter and go to latest because sometimes you can get stuff from on the ground as people tweet it out.
I like the live streams
Yeah.
they do on there and stuff like that. There's some good parts about it.
There's some
for sure.
good parts of Twitter. Not a lot. Not $8 worth.
But like I say, most people who disagreed with the narrative are gone from Twitter. And the big question is, will they come back? And the big name is, will Donald Trump be allowed back? And Musk is not yet ready to step on that landmine.
Twitter will not reinstate banned users without a clear process, Musk says. The process is not disclosed about what that would look like.
He's got to get their $8 first.
No.
And I guess, you know, like now that he's in charge, he just wants to shake everything up. He wants to see what, I think he's just throwing stuff against the wall here, right?
It feels,
See
yeah, a
what
little
happens.
desperate. Chief Twit, Elon Musk, signals interest in reviving Vine. A little bit of editorializing in that headline, but...
Chief Twit, because that's what he changed his Twitter bio to be. He has since changed it again to represent the nightmare that he's having trying to support all these different complaints.
Welcome to moderation. You brought this on yourself.
It's only going to get worse.
But Vine, it seems like he's wanting to do that maybe to compete with TikTok. But Twitter already supports video. What's that? What would that look like?
These are going to be limited to 60 seconds. And probably that same kind of algorithmic.
Does this mean he will start supporting the U.S. banning TikTok? Will we start seeing him
Oh my God,
point
yes.
for that legislation?
He was probably never against that, was he?
Well,
Although
he has deals in China. Yeah.
He does have the China Tesla sales are big. That's going to put him in a weird spot, isn't it?
Yeah. Stay tuned for more next week.
This was kind of a repetition of the story we did earlier in government.
It literally references it in the article.
Yeah, that's just a more specific part of it. We won't go into it much. But
Facebook has a special portal for government officials to request user content be throttled or suppressed for vaguely defined disinformation, report says.
that is true. We learned that from Mark Zuckerberg, but we learned it a while back.
Yeah.
We got a little bit more information, I think, from those leaked documents, but yeah, they're still doing it. Facebook is dying, so maybe it won't matter eventually.
The only part of Facebook that matters is the marketplace. We all know this.
And Kanye West, God bless him, he's not backing down. He's sticking with his, I don't know what you want to call it. His,
Anti-Semitism, I think.
Semitism?
Semitism.
you do have to admit, though, that, you know, the old saying about if you want to know, you know, like who's oppressing you, find out who you can't say anything bad about. You're not allowed. He's proven that.
Yee suspended from Instagram again after targeting Jewish people in post. I feel like this man he's just kind of losing it.
Yeah. He has gone to Parler looking to buy it, obviously. And that is where he announced this because he's been banned from pretty much everywhere else. He posted some screenshots of chats with another mogul in his community. Who was it? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Another hip hop guy. And that guy was Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons was kind of like, you know, gently trying to, it's like, dude, you have to stop.
Yeah. Is this worth tanking your career?
He seemed to think so and posted it and was immediately banned. And so now he's only on Parler. I could do without ever hearing from Kanye again.
Yeah. He made a couple good albums many years ago.
Some of his music's not bad, but I don't think it was groundbreaking. And Instagram, boy, are they late to the party.
Instagram jumps into NFTs with minting and selling feature. Nah, son.
You think it'll take off?
No. I think they were saying you could change your profile image to an NFT, which, okay, I can do that now.
And they also, there's going to be some kind of royalties. I don't know how any of that is going to work. They got some kind of, the same Polygon blockchain that JP Morgan's using. A big day for them, huh? I just can't care about NFTs. I thought maybe NFTs were going to go away a while, but I think we're just in a lull and it's going to come screaming back at some point.
I guess. I just don't get the appeal. But maybe when we all live in the metaverse, NFTs will be important.
What if I refuse to move into the metaverse?
Then you die in real life. They won't allow that. Citizen, put your VR headset back on.
There's going to be like a stormtroopers are going to come to your house and they're going to be wearing their headsets that show you as something completely different. And then they're going to gun you down. And they're going to get your house as digital real estate in the metaverse.
But they can't actually hit you with their laser guns because your character model in the metaverse doesn't match up with how you look IRL.
No, they would replace me with something else. Like a guy in a ski mask with a knife or something like that.
Still close enough that they could hit.
Yeah. The hitbox will be my shape. They'll just change, some of the things.
Yeah. Still humanoid.
Well, TikTok, now, if you remember, TikTok has guaranteed us being the United States, that our information is not getting leaked to China. Now, some people claim to have disproven that and, shown that, yes, there were people in China with administrative accounts. This does not make me feel better about that.
TikTok tells European users its staff in China get access to their data. Surprising only people who have never read anything about TikTok ever.
Not just China. Also, there's some in South America and Israel. So
And the
anywhere,
US.
anywhere that there's an administrative user with that level of access, that country can get to it because that person can get to it. So
Maybe just don't trust any of them.
maybe only have people moderate the EU who are in the EU. You're a big company. You can afford that, right? Hire some people. And the Twitter exodus has not been too extreme. It seems like a lot of people are still using Twitter, and it's still an ongoing thing. But some of the hardliners did follow up with what they threatened. They left.
Mastodon gained 70,000 users after Musk's Twitter takeover. I joined them. Now, maybe I'm misremembering this, but in the article they described Mastodon as left-leaning. I thought it was originally a right thing. Am I wrong about that?
You're thinking of Truth Social.
Maybe? I don't know. But my favorite part of this article is that instead of a tweet, what you post on there is called a toot.
Which I imagine in my mind is a Mastodon fart.
Yeah, but
Right.
you can also privately toot. Is that just like a little?
That's how I try to do it. Right?
Yeah.
You go off, find a
Go
place to
covert.
yourself. You don't want to crop dust a group of people.
Yeah.
That's not nice. But I'm not using Mastodon. I don't too much about it.
The description in this article, I thought, just sounded like Reddit, like a mix between Reddit and
But it's not
and
it's,
Twitter.
It's federated, so there's not just one Mastodon, right?
Right.
It's kind of like how in World of Warcraft, for example, you're familiar with that. When you play World of Warcraft, you're not playing with everybody playing World of Warcraft. You're on a server,
Right.
and there's different servers. But the Mastodon servers can intercommunicate.
Yeah.
So the problem with that is, and Wilfred Chan kind of points out that you have to be somewhat tech savvy to get into Mastodon. Like my parents are never going to use Mastodon. They're also not Twitter users, but they might be able to figure that out. I don't think they would ever figure out Mastodon.
My mom struggles because Twitter apparently now, like, if you send someone a tweet and they're not logged in, apparently you won't be able to see it always. Like half the time it doesn't show up. So I'll send my mom a tweet from Chris Bailey, our local weatherman. And I'm like, oh, watch out for this storm. And she's like, I can't see that.
Oh, she clicks on it.
Yeah. And like, because she doesn't have an account, she can't see that tweet.
How do you send it to her? You just send her a link?
Yeah. I sent her.
I see what you're saying. I don't know.
So my mom definitely couldn't do this. She can't handle that either.
I'm not looking to, I'm not a big Twitter user either, but I'm not looking to join any new
No.
thing.
I like to have a place to like share pics. So like I have a garden thread that I use on the forum, and I've posted some gardening stuff on Twitter, but neither of those are really like the best place.
That is the one thing I do like about Twitter, though. Like there are some accounts on Twitter that just have great cat videos.
Yeah.
That's a great use of Twitter.
Yeah, I like people who just, post things that bring them joy, but a lot of people don't use it for that.
Yeah, people want to fight. People want to fight on Twitter, and that's the wrong thing to do. But it's popular, and I don't think it's going away. But one thing that did go away, that's coming back, that we all need more of in our lives.
Tumblr will now allow nudity, but not explicit sex. That might get us demonetized.
So the rules are nudity is okay. Previously, the female nipple was where they drew the line. Anything that included the female nipple was considered nudity. Of course, genitalia. I don't know about a bare butt. You think they would allow a bare butt on?
I don't know that they were ever really monitoring this.
Oh, yeah, they banned a bunch of people.
Well, they said they were, but I mean, it's not hard to find.
They probably stopped
Yeah.
doing it so hard after that. This was the whole, remember the big controversy where it was like children were being victimized?
Yeah. Well, there's a huge fandom community on Tumblr, and like, you can literally just put in like Lord of the Rings, and like half the stuff is smut fic.
Because that's what
Yeah.
it spells. So the new guidelines are artistic nudes are okay. Where do you draw the line on artistic nudes? Well, apparently if you're only focusing on the genitals, that's no longer art. That is just pictures of genitals. So I don't know how much more, like, you think you could go knee to belly button? Would that be okay?
They're not going to.
Someone needs to test all these things.
The Tumblr community's probably already started
Yeah.
pushing the limits on
Also,
that.
if it's a furry nude, is that okay? That's art, right?
There's some poor content moderator who's like, again, having to go through all this stuff and like determine what it is and isn't okay.
I think I would rather be the Tumblr nude moderator than the Facebook
Or Twitter.
child exploitation,
Yeah.
animal murder moderator. Those seem really nasty.
I'm sure that stuff pops up on Twitter too, unfortunately, but maybe not in the same quantity as Facebook.
Apparently, Google Images having a big child exploitation issue right now.
People suck.
That's such a wildly public place to do that, though. Like, what do you expect to get away with there?
Apparently, there's enough of it that it doesn't matter. Like, people just keep flooding it with it. That's awful.
How crazy that there's so much of it out there. Well, that's our, you won't notice any difference here, but this is our second recording of that. This is going to be 17 minutes plus 40. This is going to break an hour.
Oh, people are going to love that. They love when that happens.
Some people do, some people complain. Maybe we should cater to the ones that like it, though, right? Because then they like more of us.
That does do more for my ego.
You know what? How does Techie Sava feel about it?
Oh, yeah. Those nuts are
I
good.
never know how to pronounce his name, do you?
I say Techie Safa.
That's what it's going to be from now on, whether he likes it or
Like, whenever I've done the Minecraft videos, I've always said Techie Safa. Or like in chat.
I don't know what Sattva is, though, do you?
No, yeah, and who knows what we're saying right now.
We'll say more of it on Friday when we bring you Robot Nonsense.
Bye. Hello, everybody. Today is November 11th, and we're doing Robot Nonsense.
It's 11/11.
It is 11/11, and this is your reminder to go on and get your turkey before
Oh, did
the
you
rush.
see Walmart and one other grocery store? They're doing a special. They're rolling back Thanksgiving prices to 2019
Oh,
to avoid the inflation. What a dystopian sales tactic. that is.
let's all just try to forget the last 3 years collectively.
But they're going to bring you in. They're going to sell you the turkey at 2019 prices, but the whipped cream is going to be, $5.
cranberry
more.
sauce, yeah.
That's where they're going to get you. Well, this has nothing to do with space. And first, we're going to talk about space. And let's talk about SpaceX because, oh boy, they have taken over the entire space game. Sure, there's some other players, but even those other players are having to bow down to Mr. Musk, the chief twit.
SpaceX is now building a Raptor engine a day, NASA says.
That's wild. They need a lot of them. I can't remember the exact number. It was like maybe 20 or 30 to get up there. The lander itself has 6, I think. And those 6 have to fire or they'll be trapped on the moon. The astronauts. That's terrifying.
What's the worst that can happen?
Especially
You'll run out of air.
if I was one of those astronauts, I'd be like, hey guys, you think we could take maybe 2 days and do some, like checking on the second day?
Nah,
Maybe run through it twice?
nah. It'll be fine.
I don't feel comfortable with that. And the Falcon Heavy, which is the bigger, badder of the rocket engines, has not been used for quite some time, but now it's back.
SpaceX launches first Falcon Heavy mission since 2019 from Florida.
Worked perfectly. They landed almost at the same time.
Wow.
Like a beautiful touchdown. And the main thruster did not land, but it was designed not to because they wanted that satellite to get really deep, so it burned all of its fuel to get up there. This was a SpaceX satellite, and exactly what it does is secret. Or not SpaceX, Space Force. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Probably something to do with fighting China's satellites.
hey, that's a lead in for this story.
And China is also launching a bunch of rockets, and they have finished their big project.
China launches final module to complete Tiangong
It's
space station.
Tiangong? I'm not
Tiangong?
sure.
Their space station, the Chinese space station.
Ming Chan experiment module. I say it's done. I don't think it's done yet. They have to put it in place and like connect everything, but it's up there now.
Yeah.
It's ready for installation.
I liked watching the video of this one because you could see the Chinese people with their little flags, and I was like, oh, we really are the same. Everyone, crowds around a fence, and
It's easy, no matter how horrible your government is, and we both have horrible governments.
yeah.
It's easy to get behind spaceflight because it's just an amazing thing that we're doing.
Yeah, it was funny just because the camera angles and everything were the same between both launches. So it's like the people with the American flags and people with the Chinese flags.
And, I look at it and I'm just like, I constantly have this thought. It's like, there are people building that amazing machine and doing these things and figuring out all these problems and solving them. And then there's my community where everybody's just on meth.
Some of those people probably work for NASA. Not many people get out here, but
No, those are people on Adderall. It's different, totally different. Not the same drug at all. And Amazon has a specific problem to do with timing. You see, when you get FCC licenses, you have to use them in a very specific amount of time or they expire. So what do you do if your rockets aren't ready?
pressed for time, Amazon may turn to its SpaceX rival for satellite launches. Oof.
That had to hurt to admit, didn't it?
Yeah. I think it wasn't just SpaceX though. I think there were like two others that they were talking about working with.
Yeah, but he made he being Senior Vice President Dave Limp. Oh, what an unpleasant name. Says we're open to talking to SpaceX. You'd be crazy not to, given their track record. Yeah, they are really getting things done in space. Can't take that away from them. Whatever you feel about the Chief Twit, he's doing it. I just realized these are all from the same website.
Well, sometimes the paywall alternative giveth and taketh away.
Well, Gizmodo has just excellent space coverage. Let's give them a hand for that. But we have just recently figured out that we can move asteroids with our, just smashing them with our space vehicles. And I feel
Our
like
space hammer.
hammers are great. I was just about to make the thing. Now we have a hammer and everything up there looks like a nail.
We gotta destroy it. Scientists find potentially hazardous asteroid hiding in the sun's glare.
Yeah, it's just one that we hadn't seen before. It's not coming straight at us.
It's not near us really at all right now, but maybe what if we should destroy it? Let's spend some money and destroy it.
Yeah, if it does come at us, we'll be ready to shoot it. That's the thing about it. It's like in South Park when they were hunting. It's like, it's coming straight for me.
The USA just looking to shoot stuff in space.
I like shooting stuff in space, but it's expensive to do that. We don't really have a lot of extra money right now.
There's a future story that we will do in this section of something that would be far more useful to shoot down.
And every rocket that we shoot at an asteroid that's not really coming at us is a bunch of rockets that we're not allowed to send to Ukraine. Which is really
I think those are the same rockets.
Yeah, but the money, it's the same industry building it. And we have to have black hole stories. We've learned so much about black holes based on your fear of them.
I feel like they've really been making a lot of strides in the last 2 years, especially.
Yeah. Well, they've developed faster travel.
They burp.
Teleportation, vomiting.
It's like the worst path of exile.
They consume more things than we thought. And now, temporal magic. They will be able to attack you not only through space, but also time.
Dead and alive at the same time, black holes have quantum properties. They are neither living nor dead. They will never stop hunting us.
And they have the whole particle wave thing going on, where observation of things near them can be in 2 quantum states at the same time. Some mind-bending stuff. And in terms of black holes, they bend even more than your mind. They'll bend all of your particles and rip them to shreds.
Every time I read a black hole article, maybe this is part of the fear too, is that they just seem so unknowable that it's like I read it and I'm just like, this is word soup to me. This is terrifying.
And now, the question is, if you did go into a black hole, you probably wouldn't survive it. But if you did, what's in there? And this makes what's in there more of a question than ever before.
I thought you meant this next article, you were going to segue, and I was like, what? A gingerbread house?
I don't know anything that... I guess if we wanted beautiful pictures of black holes, creative pictures of black holes, this would be one way to do it.
Google's text-to-image AI model, Imogen?
Imogen is
Imogen is getting its first very limited public outing. They don't allow anyone to actually use this. I think it's very limited, but they were showing what it can do.
They're going to add it to this AI test kitchen thing that they've got, which is why everything's food related here.
Yeah.
And it's really on rails. They're not going to let you go too crazy with, the obvious thing that everybody's going to go to, which is furry porn. They're going to lock you into...
Well, they're not all food. That one's a cyberpunk city, I think is what it was, or cyber city.
Well, they've got different apps in here.
Yeah.
So this is a city made of denim, I think.
That's one of the prompts. So you could do like a city made of denim or a city made of s'mores, and then there's like this one, which is a monster. Yeah, and you can give it terms and it'll make a monster based on what terms you give it.
Design your cool thing. I don't think anybody's going to be too interested in this when they can already use all the other ones.
Yeah, this is too late.
But they're obviously trying to avoid people doing horrible things with it. But how can you? It's coming.
In the hellscape we live in, you can't.
And we have image creation. Last week we talked about, now we're up to music creation. Obviously, it's time for them to write for us. Now, we already had GTP3 and stuff like that. This one takes it even farther.
Google's new prototype AI tool does the writing for you. I was not that impressed. I thought it was pretty similar to the game we used to play.
Yeah.
Where it couldn't really keep track of threads very well.
And the authors, they invited some authors and they were like, hey, just feed it some stuff and see what's going on. You give it some prompts. It shows how it works here. They were impressed in terms of, if I have an idea, it spices it up in ways that I would not have thought of.
Yeah.
But in terms, like you say, of an ongoing narrative,
yeah,
not as good as that.
Like there's an example story in here about like a penguin and a mama penguin protecting its babies, but the eggs hatch off screen. Like their eggs, one scene, and the next sentence, it's like, she's saving her baby. And it's like, wait, what?
GPT-3 also suffered from that, if you remember.
Yeah.
Like we would want to go down a certain path with it. And it was like, yeah, that person died. And then we're in someplace else.
Yeah, you had no idea why it changed abruptly.
So I've not revisited that. It might be fun to go back to that, see if they improve it. But the business model they have is terrible.
It's microtransactions, yeah.
Do not buy it on Steam. Public service announcement. That is a ripoff. Now, this, of course, is in your wheelhouse. We've had this discussion before, and where do you land on AI-generated art? Is it legitimate art?
I think it could be. It's too early for me to have a concrete opinion on it. Someone pointed out in this art, well, here, let me read the headline. Exhibit aims to present AI images as real art. Someone pointed out in this article that a lot of the hysteria around AI art is very similar to what we saw with like photography.
Makes sense.
And where people were freaked out because it's like, oh, well, now they can just reproduce exactly. But then photography kind of broke off and became its own thing. I think if you make a separate category for AI images, like for contests or exhibits like this, I think that's fine.
But photography also changed maybe why we painted or drew.
Right. It became less about capturing reality.
But it did not stop us from doing either of those things.
Right.
So this probably won't either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any problem with the AI art stuff, although
I think it's, from a business perspective, it's a little bit of a bummer because you spend years learning to draw and all these things, and then...
That's a good question. Will future generations of artists not go for the same training because of this?
I would say so, because some people, like with photography, they don't want to take drawing classes.
Makes sense.
But I would say, at least with drawing, like that's where you learn the building blocks of composition, and those are relevant regardless of what medium you're working in.
Maybe not AI.
Because you're not actually composing it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. That's the other thing that sort of is weird to me. Like, I feel like I, as an artist, if I start putting things into an AI image generator, I'm going to be frustrated because I can't change the composition.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you could, but...
That's how I've felt about every, like, no code, low code
web design
programming system. Like, yeah, it's great, but ultimately I'm going to want to do something that it can't do, or my client is going to want to do something that it can't do. And then it's in the way.
Yes. And a lot of times those are paid. And then it's like, oh, we're paying for something that is ultimately irrelevant.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
And when it comes to AI, we're getting rapid advancements, but mostly we're getting those advancements from the big names. Some small startups, but probably not as many as we would like. And OpenAI wants to change that.
OpenAI will give roughly 10 AI startups $1 million each and early access to its systems.
How do you get it? Well, you got to give them a plan. Got to write it up. Try to convince them that you need
proposal.
that money. Get on
Kind of
that.
interesting. Not a bad way to spend some money.
What if I took the text AI and had it write my proposal?
Oh, meta. But then they're like, this is just incomprehensible. Why would I hire you for this?
And at a time when robotics is one of the most lucrative careers that you can go into, and certainly infinite growth, I would think at this point, Lego making a weird decision.
Lego to discontinue Mindstorm's robot line after a 24-year run. I didn't even know about this line. Does anyone play with these? Do they know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you don't know about these?
I've never seen these.
So they had these special parts. They got a picture of them here. It came with this brick, the controller brick, and you could hook that into your PC, and then they had all these little motors and stuff to make your Legos do things.
So see, the one I remember was Kinects. Kinects had a lot of robotic stuff. You could hook into your Kinects and then make your stuff move.
Kinects, was that Lego branded though?
I don't think Kinects. I think that was a separate brand. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know my blocks real well.
And then you had Lego Technic, which was they weren't blocks. They assembled differently. But I think they also had a robotic portion. Anyway, apparently there's a new kind of robot. I can't remember what it's called. And it's taking over.
Oh, okay.
It's not Lego, but it's going to be an official replacement in all the learning systems that used to use this stuff.
I should get something like this for one of my friend's kids. He really loves that kind of thing.
I'm wondering, because with Lego appreciation is so crazy, should I just go and buy a bunch of that?
Oh, and resell them?
Because
Yeah.
there is a new set that's coming out only this year, and then they're all done. Will those be huge collector's items?
Probably. I think that's true of almost any Lego.
Yeah, it's a weird market, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
This is what this is what NASA should be shooting down.
this is crazy. Well, this is not actually in space.
Yeah.
We could actually do this with, just the Air Force could do this. We don't need NASA for that.
500 drones will form a giant Candy Crush ad above New York City tonight.
This was yesterday for
yeah.
us. I did not see an update on this. Did you?
I didn't see this anywhere. It's almost like people don't want to see ads in the sky.
It's amazingly the 10-year anniversary of Candy Crush.
Who cares?
It's been a decade.
Not me.
Mark Zuckerberg cares.
Don't ruin my view of the night sky with your bullshit.
So New York City already doesn't really have much of a night sky because it never sleeps and there's
Right.
lots of lights. But yeah, now it'll be just even worse.
They were concerned about there's some sort of migratory bird that passes through this region. And apparently, the city lights don't bother them too much, but they were worried this would be too much for them.
Well, not just that, but they could run into a rotor, right?
Yeah.
That would be a disaster. 1 pixel of the Candy Crush might fall out of the sky.
Oh,
with a
no.
bird corpse.
Mangled in it.
Also, it's interesting that New York itself has rules against drone flights. So they actually are launching them from New Jersey and then putting them over the Hudson.
I feel like if someone did that here, they would be shot out of the sky.
Maybe. But also there's no one here to advertise to
Yeah.
compared to New York City. So how many people you think will install Candy Crush because of that?
I hope it's -10. I would uninstall it.
It's going to be a non-trivial amount, I bet. And they're going to be measuring it in real time because
Of course they are.
Facebook controls everything.
Yeah.
Amazing. And moving on to nonsense, this one was a shocking story, and it just goes to show you why we have some bureaucracy. Really, there's a reason there's a coroner, and there's a reason that only the coroner can make these decisions.
Denver firefighter suspended for getting woman pronounced dead even though she was alive. I'm still alive.
So she had a surgery, and I guess it had gone wrong, and someone had called to do a wellness check. And they said that there was an overwhelming stench of death. And she was on the couch with fluids leaking out of her. And they were like, yep, she's dead. And they called it in. Not dead. She started moving after that.
I assume maybe she was just on pain pills or something after the surgery and probably.
Oh, well, she was near death.
Oh, really?
Oh, she was.
Was she septic then?
Terribly infected. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So she had to go directly to the hospital, but they were looking to pop her in a bag.
Wow.
Remember that video of who was the celebrity that got in a car wreck and she was horribly burned? And
I remember that story, but I don't
they
remember.
had a video of her fighting out of the body bag.
Oh,
And we never got a follow up on that.
they just put her back in there.
I guess it could be shock from the burns,
Oh,
but that was a terrifying video. Another thing that's terrifying is I feel like I'm uniquely susceptible to this because my truck is a little bit jacked up. So it's easy to get under. And I leave it parked for long amounts of time. Probably shouldn't be saying that here, right?
Yeah.
But this is a big problem. And it was such a big problem that this guy had become sort of like a little kingpin.
They get stolen from around here all the time.
His empire, yeah.
A nationwide catalytic converter theft ring made hundreds of millions of dollars, feds say.
This guy had a special piece of bling made that looks like a catalytic converter.
It's the platinum in them, right? That's why people take them.
Right. Yeah. They have a high value, high resale value. Probably the most expensive item on the vehicle that you can easily get to from the outside. But yeah, they had just bins and bins of these things. It was a nationwide ring, and this guy was running most of it.
Wow.
They have a free service here in California. They will engrave your license plate onto your converter. And so the stolen ones are harder to. But if you're scrapping them for the platinum, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. I guess if you know someone who will take it.
But that's good. And it does seem like they got to the top of this ring rather than just getting the low level guys. Although the low level people operating outside the ring are just as much of a threat.
Yeah.
Because, just meth heads. Plus, they'll sell those catalytic converters for nothing. I'm a big fan of the SCP stuff.
The library.
And this was one of the most popular ones. This is a really good one. And I'm surprised it took IKEA this long, obviously.
This game just got announced, I think. IKEA sues indie game developer over survival horror game set in furniture store. This game is in development right now. You can go to its Steam page because my husband actually sent it to me earlier this week and was like, oh, we should check this out when it comes out. And then we had a story about it.
Looks cool. Do you know the SCP about this one?
Where you can't get out of the IKEA because the employees are like faceless monsters.
But there are like pockets of human habitation in there.
Oh, okay.
And, they've built up a little society inside of it. And sometimes the employees will tear one down and you got to move to another one. It's a great story. But yeah.
The game looked like it would be interesting. I was kind of looking forward to it.
You think that this hurts the IKEA brand? It seems like it might create awareness.
What's weird is that they don't use it in the name of the game or in like anywhere in the game. It just is blue and yellow.
In the SCP, they do use it. The big thing that IKEA latched onto here, apparently there's a teddy bear in the game that has the name of the teddy bear that IKEA actually sells.
Oh, okay.
And apparently, the lines on the floor in IKEA that show you where things are.
They're trying to copyright that?
They feel like that is unique to the IKEA and they own that.
Almost every video game has had lines on the floor to indicate where you're supposed to go, too.
But not in a furniture store.
Oh, so that's different. I hope that they get to release it because that game looks really cool.
It's such a great piece of fiction, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. The developer said he's going to strip all that stuff out, but I think it hurts the overall feel of the game, right? And for no reason.
I mean, he could change the sign colors and get rid of the bear and probably be in the clear, right?
Got to get rid of the thing on the floor.
I don't know if you can defend that.
If you're
I mean, they've got the money to, but like
an indie game developer.
Can you really say like arrows on the floor are copyright to IKEA? Like I've seen that every store during the pandemic did that.
Sure. Well, maybe IKEA should sue all the
stores. Yeah. How dare you, TJ Maxx, for putting arrows on the floor?
And here we have just a disgusting. It's amazing how much the airlines are allowed to punish us. And I just saw people are trying to do a class action seat because they keep making the seats smaller.
Yeah. There's one where they're like trying to get people to stand up.
And there's
a roller coaster ride.
There's one where like you are basically under the person in front of you. Like you're stacked up. It's disgusting. But not quite as disgusting as this.
Queenslander with disability left to crawl off plane after Jetstar staff refused to let her use a transfer wheelchair without a charge. I understand that the policy says that, but if you are the stewardess, whatever, who is making that decision in the moment and you see her start to crawl, how do you not have a moment of human decency where you're like, screw this, I'm getting her a wheelchair?
I don't know. And she pointed out they got her onto the plane in a wheelchair.
With no charge.
So
yeah.
Aren't you kind of like putting her in a situation that she can't get out of?
I do kind of love the balls of being like, no, fine, I'll crawl out and you will watch me do this.
That is the way to do it. Yeah, because I mean, you got to if she had just paid, no one would have ever cared about this. She would
Right.
have just been out some money. But that is just a ridiculous. The fact that they have that policy
Yeah.
is absurd.
Yeah, again, if you're the person being asked to execute the policy, why would you not be like, no, screw this, get her a
Now,
wheelchair?
The official thing, the response was, no, that's not what we did. The wheelchair was in use somewhere else, but according to her, it was there. Like she could see it.
And they were just like, no, you can't
Yeah,
have
they
it.
said you have to pay to use it. Pay per use wheelchair. That is that's dystopian. And van life, you've abandoned your dreams of van life.
Yeah, I don't think that would ever be realistic for me and my husband to do.
That's sad.
I love my husband, but being in that tiny of a space,
What if you did 2 vans? That's going to be fuel costs that you don't.
yeah, then
realize.
I think at that point we just get a bus, something bigger.
So it's not living in a vehicle. It's just the size. I don't think he would agree with you.
No, he wouldn't. But my sister-in-law is actually looking to build out a bus right now. They're working on it.
Well, if you are not like Krista and you still hold the dream of van life in your heart, Ford has a new offer for you.
Want to live in a van down by the river? Ford has a new vehicle for that. It is pretty cool. It is also very expensive.
The Transit Trail Van.
It looks really nice on there's some photos later in this article, I think.
It's kind of just a panel van, but they have made the inside especially adaptable to your own updates.
One of these had like pictures where you could see the bed and stuff. Maybe it wasn't this article.
must
I
be
clicked
this
through on a different one.
What was the price? I don't remember.
It was like,
Oh, 65 grand.
yeah. Whew.
It's expensive for a van.
Yeah, you could build out your own for.
Does it come
Much
with
less.
any van life appliances or anything for that?
It's got, yeah. So again, there's photos in one of these other articles that are linked in here, but there's photos like it's got a little kitchen and I assume the sink, it's probably a gray water system where you can pump it out. It could just go straight out. Some people do that, but
That seems nasty.
yeah. Well, it's gray water. It's not black water. Still not great. Unless you're using a environmentally friendly soap.
I don't do that. Well, were you familiar before today with the professional cornhole scene?
You would think that the way that friends and family around here play cornhole, that they were playing in a professional league, but no, I didn't know there was a real one.
It is interesting. Sometimes when you're driving along these country roads, you'll see a bunch of cornhole
Yeah.
things out front, and it's like for sale cornhole. What do you call them?
I don't know. We got a pair. My cousin made me a pair for our wedding. We've used them a few times.
Really? How are
My
you good
neighbors
at it?
next door play cornhole all the time.
Are you good at cornhole?
No, not even a little.
Maybe if you had some special bags.
Baggate cheating scandal rocks professional cornhole world. I'm surprised they don't make you use regulation cornhole bags.
They do. So apparently there's supposed to be default material and the number of beads.
Oh,
But they say these are resin beads. They say if you boil your cornhole bags, it can change the structure of the resin beads after the fact.
to make them like heavier maybe,
I
or
don't
like
know.
maybe they melt together.
What do you I don't feel like lighter or heavier bags, they're not heavy in the first place. Right? I mean they're
I'm thinking if the resin beads melt together, it might give it, more sticky clumping, and it would feel like it could go a little bit further.
but that would be immediately obvious to everybody, right?
Yeah.
I think the boiling just changes their shape or their weight or something.
Yeah.
Any cornhole players out there who understand exactly what's going on here?
We need to go boil some cornhole. I have some. Oh, we'll boil one later.
Anyway, $15,000 prize, which is why people are arguing so vociferously about this. And it turns out after the
Wow, look at that. There's sports sponsorships for that.
Yeah.
Mike's Hard Lemonade sponsors professional cornhole.
That's wild. But so after the fact, they were like, okay, we're going to do a teardown. Everybody turn in your bags. It turned out both teams had non-standard bags.
Wow. They should just go back, instead of resin, just go back to actual corn bags.
Or, just let the venue provide the bags.
I assume they did, but maybe they took them home. They snuck them out.
It's so great because it's a tiny microcosm of when the football team deflated the footballs.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that?
Man, people.
There was a little more at stake in that situation, though.
probably was a cash prize. Maybe not as high of one, but
Yeah. 15 grand versus hundreds of millions.
yeah.
Well, this just keeps coming up. Like this story, we've talked about it, what would you say, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah, I feel like this is just bait. Every time it's just bait.
This one had a little bit more behind it, though, because apparently Joe Rogan made a comment about this one. And a lot more people caught on to it because of that.
Fact check. Do SLO County schools have litter boxes for students identifying as furries?
No.
Every time it's a headline with a question mark, the answer is almost always no.
Turns out that's not true.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, I think, has admitted that he was wrong about that. So. And when it comes to, it's weird now because our professional athletes, almost all of them at this point, grew up playing video games about the sport that they're in. And some wild things happen because of what they learned.
NASCAR driver stuns racing world with a move learned from Nintendo GameCube.
Did you watch the clip?
No, I'm thinking of there was a thing you could do in Mario Kart where you could like hop over the wall and go back and forth.
No.
I assume he didn't do that.
So the trick is you don't drive at all. Like you don't hit your brakes. Instead of hitting the brakes, you let the wall drive you.
Ah.
So look how fast that is compared to the other cars. That's brilliant.
You know, his sponsors who paid for that vehicle are like screaming. They're like, stop. But he's winning.
I think they changed the outside of those vehicles every time anyway. Anyway, he needed to get a certain number of places to get into the championship, and he did. It worked.
Oh, it's hilarious.
So reckless, though. I mean,
yeah, you could flip that very easily. And that's not as fun in real life as it is in a video game.
they also talk about if there was anything sticking out of that wall, like if they had drilled something into it and he caught it at that speed, letting the wall drive him, that would have been catastrophic.
Yeah.
I only included this one because, well, a number of questions. Why? And also, look how bad these costumes are. That Spider-Man doesn't have a neck.
No Spider-Man costume I've seen, like from a Halloween, they always look saggy. Like
I don't know why that
the
is.
helmet. Superheroes catching drug dealers in Peru.
So they were doing a regular drug bust, cocaine. They found 3,250 packages of cocaine. I'm imagining that's a 1 gram package. And, 302,050ty packages of cocaine paste. Oh, cocaine paste. What is cocaine paste?
You put it in your pasta. You're making a pasta sauce. Instead of tomato paste, you use cocaine paste.
It's not the most delicious spaghetti, but you'll eat all of it. But yeah, they decided to be superheroes and just bad superhero costumes.
It's probably from Halloween Express. A lot of that stuff's not great quality.
Also, if I'm getting in a gunfight, how much visibility am I giving up with that dumb mask?
Maybe you just don't think about that. Maybe you're just like, no, I want to be a superhero.
That's got to be a wild trip, though, especially if you're, high on cocaine at the time when Captain America.
Oh shit, Spider-Man's here. Oh no.
And over in London, did you watch this video?
I did. I saw a clip of this, but I didn't know the context of it.
Is just, I don't know exactly where these things came from. The article doesn't tell us, but just this video. I gotta mute this. Let me mute this side as well.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Giant runaway Christmas baubles tumble through London street, wreaking havoc. What's crazy is when they hit like a light pole and like all of the silver just comes off.
So I guess those are just big inflatable
Yeah.
plastic balls. It got some air there too, so it doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, I assume they said it was part of a Christmas display, I guess. I saw this clip there's a subreddit called Bizarre Life, which is just weird things like this. So there was no context when I saw it.
What do you think those cost?
A giant inflatable ball, but it's used for a Christmas thing, probably for a department store.
And all that mylar on the outside of it?
Yeah.
That's going to be pricey.
I can't get over, though, when it hits the light pole and all the mylar just...
I imagine you got to pop them to take them back, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting them back inflated.
Someone's chasing it with a knife, and there's a policeman chasing the person with the knife, yelling, "You got a license for that."
Oh, that's right. They're not allowed to have knives. Apparently, Heidi Klum
love this.
Famous for her weird Halloween costumes, and they are pretty impressive. This one is just astonishingly
It's incredible.
terrifying.
Heidi Klum, unrecognizable in elaborate giant worm costume at her Halloween New York City Halloween bash.
This is
So I wish is there a zoom on her face here?
I don't think so, but here we go. Yeah,
There it is. Dennis Villain, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the guy who did the Dune movies, he is frantically trying to contact her makeup artist because he's like, I need something like that for Dune
the
Part 2.
human worm
Yeah.
crossover people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something special. What do you think that cost?
Oh, it's probably absurd. So her husband was a fisherman. And he's just like got a fishing hat and stuff on. And yeah. And she's just a giant worm.
He's a fisherman, but he's the bloody fisherman.
Well, look at what he's fishing with. What kind of fish is he looking to get?
Big ones.
What a great story.
Actually, I think the kind of fish he was fishing for, and so was she, were retweets.
Yeah. Well, she does, like I said, every costume she does is insane. It's crazy because she's a supermodel and like very successful, I think. And she's, instead of going with the hot, sexy, like barely a costume, she's like,
Yeah,
no.
well, I mean, she's not a supermodel anymore.
But she works on, what's the name? Project Runway.
But she's past her beauty days, and she's just being creative with it. I think that's a good thing to do. That's a graceful aging.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of girls, especially in the modeling industry, aren't capable of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of models, they just, and a lot of people in general just will go for like something that looks sexy or like low effort. And no, she sat in a makeup chair for probably 10 hours before that party to look like a worm.
What do you think the temperature was inside that worm suit?
Not inconsequential.
She was disgusting when she crawled out of that at the end of the night.
Literally slithered out of that. And then she still had the worm makeup on her face. So she had to take that off for probably half an hour.
When you marry Heidi Klum, you don't expect that to eventually be your life with her.
No, the best part of that is her husband agreed. She was like, hey, I need you to be a fisherman. And he's like, oh, are you going to be a fish?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, she's also insanely rich, right?
Yeah,
so he's probably just like, whatever you want.
Between the modeling and then the Project Runway royalties, I'm sure she's loaded.
Yeah. So Halloween, you do whatever you want. That's
yeah.
Fine. Yeah. Just keep paying my credit card bills. Think this is too hot?
No, we did a story about someone who was blind who did this a long time ago.
Yeah, but you're adding the other spice that's not allowed.
Norwegian man now identifies as a disabled woman, uses wheelchair almost all the time. We did a story many years ago about someone who did the same thing where she wanted to be blind and had a doctor blind her.
Right. She put some sort of horrible chemical in her eyes. Now, there have been a lot of criticisms here, not based on the woman part, but based on people who are like, I actually have to use a wheelchair. And you know what? It sucks. And what you're doing is angering to me because you're flaunting a thing that I wish I had.
If there's a fire in the shopping mall, I have to try and wheel myself out and you can jump up.
You think this guy would have walked off the plane?
Yeah.
It's going to be $25 charge. Oh, I'll walk. Yeah. But also, you know, it's like, well, I think they might have been getting some sort of assistance from the government for disability or trying to. And it's like, really?
Yeah. I would think, I don't know how it is in Norway, but I would think you'd have to have that confirmed by a doctor. Here, it's actually really difficult to get disability. You have to go through multiple hearings, I think.
It should be.
Yeah.
Because people will cheat, obviously. And people do successfully cheat a lot. This, I didn't actually ever see the video, did you?
No, I kept seeing this headline pop up all week, but I didn't see it. Like, I didn't even see a photo. I assume it's probably pretty gory.
This video, yeah, we won't show it. I don't think this is the video.
That's just a stock image of a...
Yeah, it's just...
Oh,
look,
wait. Yeah.
It's not really... That's really, really clickbaity.
Video. Dog runs through Mexican town with human head found at an ATM. The story was all over the place, but yeah, I didn't actually see the real.
So it was one of those, you know, like the ATMs that have a little building that you go into rather than just being on the street. And it was a drug cartel.
Ugh.
They were making a statement. They left a note. It's not a mystery. Head and hands. Terrifying stuff down there. And the Dutch wolves are apparently such good boys and they want to be with humans so bad. It's something that has to be stopped.
Paintballs to be shot at Dutch wolves in bid to make them less tame. This is a real Harry and the Hendersons sort of moment.
They pointed out that not everybody should shoot paintballs at wolves. Can you imagine only having a paintball and going up against the wolf?
Yeah.
I would not have that. What if you hit it in the eye and it gets angry?
I would think it would run away, but
what if it doesn't?
yeah, if it does, yeah. Better hope you're next to your cabin. Also, there are wolves. Well, I mean, like
Wolves do
there
exist,
in Europe.
yes. Oh yeah, wolves are everywhere, right?
I thought maybe I'm mistaken. I could have sworn that a lot of like larger wild species in Europe were not prevalent anymore.
Well, this is probably some obscure mountainous place
Yeah,
where,
it's Netherlands, but
and sometimes they'll just bring them in, you know.
yeah, that's true. There's some wolf rehabilitation happening around here.
I bet that's wild if you're a North American wolf and they grab you and drop you over there in Norway somewhere and you're just like, wow, all the animals here are a little bit different. The wolves here taste different.
Everyone here's a little bit tamer. Like there's a lot more cities here.
And did you watch this video? This is
No, I didn't. So a lot of times
video.
with nonsense, I try to avoid reading them because I like to be shocked and surprised when I see the headline.
This video is so good.
First ever study shows bumblebees play.
So what does that mean? Well, as you can see here, they gave them this little setup and the bumblebees could either bypass the room with the colored balls or they could go out of their way to go to the room with colored balls on the way to food. And then they controlled that in a various number of ways, but this is what they do in the room with the balls.
Do you think they think that's like pollen? Like a flower or something?
They were very careful to make sure that these bees weren't hungry and that they weren't trying to get food in any way.
Okay.
So they did
They
this
weren't working,
just
yeah.
because they were into it.
That's the best. If that's not another reason we should have a White House pollinator garden. They might act. You know what I was thinking about? We might actually have one. I'm ignorant. I don't know that. I think we just have the rose garden, right? And then like the food garden.
This is a better video.
Oh,
He's having so much fun.
those are like the fat bumblebees too, and those are so fun to watch. They got the big fuzzy butts.
They also, afterwards, they had the same setup. And they took the balls out, but they had colored the two rooms, right?
Yeah.
And the bees overwhelmingly went toward the room that was colored the way they remember the ballroom was.
Oh.
So they're like, yeah, we want more of the balls. Even if they're not there, we're looking for them because it's just so much fun.
Oh man, I got to get more wildflower seeds. I was looking at wildflower seeds the other day and was like, man, I don't know if it's worth it. And now I'm like, well, clearly it is. If I can watch stuff like that.
Do you think the bees, I feel bad for these bees. What if they never get another chance to encounter fun ball
Plastic.
time?
Well, I'm sure that, the way things are going, maybe not. But like wildflowers and stuff kind of provide that. IRL.
They'll release these bees into the wild and they'll get into like a McDonald's play place with a ball pit or something and just cause havoc.
They don't have ball pits anymore. McDonald's
That's
are just
right.
sad.
Everything good about the world is gone. Actually, I don't know if that was a good at all. That was kind of a petri dish of horribleness.
Yeah, it was, but it was fun.
I never played in one. I was too old by the time they came around. I think.
They had the ball pit and slide, and then ours briefly got N64s. There were like N64 stations with Mario.
That's also disgusting.
Yeah, everyone touching those controllers.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, well, we'll see you next week. Wendell will be back. He'll be able to tell us stories about his trip. Thank you, Techie Sava, for the nuts. We'll try some of those.
I already did. They're delicious. All right, we'll see you guys then. Bye.